Bill 1383. The new law decriminalizes possession of 3 grams or less of marijuana, making it similar to a traffic violation, punishable by a fine of $130. The bill also creates a process allowing individuals convicted of possession of 3 grams of marijuana or less to have those convictions expunged from their criminal records. Finally, the House bill establishes a marijuana evaluation task force to make recommendations on changing marijuana use penalties and outcomes in the state. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
I'm getting joined by Ellie Granderson. She's going to put a feminine scope on these lace kerchief starbuggers and give us her lady opinion. Ellie?
Hi, Joe.
You know, it riles me up every time you walk in here, Ellie. You set my blood to dancing with all your pillowy parts.
Oh, stop it, Joe.
Now give it to me, no fimble famble, Ellie. When we start dusting these rocket boys' lily white bottoms with baby puff?
Joe, since the end of the Cold War, NASA has basically functioned as a giveaway to the American aerospace industry, wasting trillions of taxpayer dollars every year on extravagant programs with no tangible benefit.
Finds a plum to look at, all the sense of a badger to boot.
Joe.
Now I've been thinking on, I got these 3 little chickens pecking on my head while save NASA some coin. Man wants to go to space, can strap on the helmet, climb in the cannon, let the Chinese gunpowder carry him off among the stars. He'll come back now. Gonna skin a fox in one throat, and you're gonna fancy on it.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome to the Call to Freedom. It is Wednesday, July the 24th, 2019. I'm your host, as always, Ari DeMezzo, author of Dancing in Hellfire, which you can find on Amazon. Joined in the studio, as always, today by
Christopher Wade
and Michael Hampton from BitcoinHistory.com.
How are the two of you managing today?
A little cooler.
Yeah, it's I'm just getting up, so I'm still not quite all here yet, but it's a pretty nice day out, it seems.
Well, I woke up at noon because I had to meet somebody at 1, and it is very hot out there. I don't know what you're talking about. I think you may be crazy.
It's 78 degrees out there. It's not 98 like it was this weekend.
It's only 78 out there?
Yeah.
I would not have thought that. Yeah, of course, we did just have a intense heat wave. I think it peaked at like 94 degrees. It was hotter here in New Hampshire than it was in the state of Mississippi.
That's a little scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of had to laugh when everybody called it kept calling it a heat wave, and I'm like, it's a little hot, but it's not a heat wave. Like a heat wave, I think
it was literally a heat wave, though.
It probably was, but it was a heat wave only relative to this area in the sense that it got hotter than normal. I mean,
true.
That was 94 is not that unusual for like New Jersey or even down further south, especially further down south.
Well, I know further down south, I mean, it hasn't stopped being 90 since early June, right?
Right, like it just, yeah.
But
it's unusual for here.
It is definitely unusual for here, yeah.
It also rained a lot, which is unusual for here. Like, it rained consistently for about 2 days.
Summer we don't get as much rain, but we do get a lot of rain just in general.
It rains frequently, but it doesn't last long. It'll rain for like 5 minutes and then it's gone. That's been my experience the last year anyway. Yesterday was, I believe,
like it rains for days on end.
Really?
Yeah, at least during certain times of the year. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Last couple of days it rained for a day and a half straight.
Yeah, I think like multiple days straight it can rain. Now I'm not saying it's like nonstop rain, but it's very muggy for a couple of days and pretty much rain on and off throughout the day at least.
Well, there's evidence that suggests. Well, there's not evidence. There's statements that suggest that John McAfee has been detained, says his campaign manager.
That's right. There wasn't a whole lot of anything interesting in the last update that I saw, but is there further updates since?
Was updated at 9:45 Pacific this morning, so I don't know, an hour or two ago.
Okay, so we might have some updates because I think this came out. This news was yesterday's news.
So McAfee, I don't know why that happens. Like as soon as I said, it doesn't happen all night. As soon as I sit down to do radio. So John McAfee, who, for those who are unfamiliar with him, is currently in the midst of a bet that if Bitcoin Core, BTC, doesn't hit $500,000 per coin by the end of 2020, he will eat his own penis.
On national television.
I thought it was it $500,000 or for some reason I thought it was
now he's saying $1 million.
Well, the bet was for 50,000. I mean, 500,000.
Yeah, that was the original one.
Yeah,
and he said $1 million.
And it's totally, absolutely not going to hit that.
Right.
But hey, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I expected it to be about $900,000 per right now, and it's been doing very well. So he's believed to have been detained by authorities, according to a series of tweets Tuesday from the Twitter account of the 2020 presidential candidate and maker of an unhackable cryptocurrency wallet. Now, he called it unhackable, but as I remember...
Yeah, somebody hacked it.
Like, immediately.
So, yeah.
It's like an unbreakable comb, you know?
That's what you call PR.
Yeah, you do something like that, somebody's immediately going to do whatever it takes to break it.
Yeah, and those unbreakable combs sure do break.
They absolutely do. Operating McAfee's Twitter account, his campaign manager, Rob Pacifico... Oh, is that one name?
That is one name.
Good God. It's got 7 parts. He said, I'm going to call him Rob Pacifico, said data hidden across the world by McAfee will be revealed if he remains detained. I'm not sure that I believe this data exists.
Yeah, I don't know.
The guy's a liar.
Could be,
definitely skeptical on that one.
It may be, I mean, he is paranoid, and if anybody is paranoid enough to do something like that, it would be McAfee, sure, but he's also a lunatic, and he bluffs, and I suspect we'll find that this is a bluff. The antivirus software pioneer that everybody in the IT industry hates because of his antivirus has been on the run since 2012 after his alleged involvement in a murder in Belize. That's not true at all. He came to the United States and lived, like, openly. Wasn't on the run.
It's not quite accurate, I would say. He is on the run, but he's not on the...
Yeah, I thought he was on the run from the U.S.
He was, no. He was on the... Well, first he was on the run from Ecuador, was it? No.
It was Belize.
Belize. And now for the murder. And then he came to the U.S. He wasn't on the run at first. And now he's on the run from the U.S. government for taxes, supposedly, evasion. Or something like that.
I mean, that's what he claims. But I mean,
it wasn't a constant thing. Like there was time in between where he wasn't on the run.
Yeah, and he was just living in his house in, I think, Nashville. Just
something like
doing
that.
his thing.
I guess you could say
he started McAfee Global Technologies. How could he possibly be on the run that entire time?
You could still say he was on the run from Belize, even though he was protected within the United States.
Yeah, that could be.
I guess that's true. It's been an interesting thing to watch because he was like, I'm going into hiding. I have reason to believe that I'm about to be indicted for tax fraud. And then when nothing happened, he was just out on a cruise, basically. He posts a few days later publicly, I haven't paid a tax return in 10 years. Oh, no. Now the IRS is after me. So, I mean, I don't want to say he brought this on himself.
Did the IRS actually said anything about him?
They don't. Well, they don't randomly just come after you because you tweeted you haven't paid a tax return in 10 years.
Well, I don't.
Which is right. Which is what kind of makes me wonder.
If they were after him, they would already have been after him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of have to wonder myself. Like, is this not just all the whole thing fabrication for publicity in the first place?
I tend to think it probably is.
Yeah. So he's not really like the IRS. Like, I believe he hasn't paid taxes, but is the IRS actually going after him?
Yeah,
I doubt it.
Yeah,
maybe not. We'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, so, it's certain. I mean, it's feasible that they are, but I'm a little skeptical in this particular case that they are.
Last week, he tweeted that his only crime is not filing tax returns. He claims the rest of the charges against him, the ones that we've never heard anything about. Well, he said that he was going to be indicted in Nashville for money laundering, I think it was. And so,
yeah, they like to throw that one around.
And so he went out in hiding, and then a few days later is posting about, tax evasion. for the whole world to see. So not exactly the most brilliant things I've ever seen from John McAfee.
I don't know. If you're doing it as a form of activism, then yeah, maybe. If you're just not paying taxes because you're not paying taxes because you don't want to give them money, then you should shut up about that.
Well, I think not wanting to give them money is activism. So, I mean, I don't care why they didn't pay taxes, and I don't care whether or not he did. I just think it was stupid of him to repeatedly taunt the United States government when he evidently believed, rightly or wrongly, that they were targeting him already in the first place.
See,
poking the lion is not a good idea.
I think if he was advocating for not paying taxes, that would definitely be activism. But if he's not actually advocating that in the process, then there's no real point to the whole charade.
Yeah, I didn't hear him advocate for other people to follow his lead.
Right.
Well, perhaps not in a tweet, but there have been certainly people who have done it.
Oh, yeah, I'm one of them.
And I imagine that's how the entire conversation got brought about.
Not saying I'm one of them.
I have good reason to suspect that John McAfee, the Mrs. McAfee, and other companions have been detained by authorities at their latest port of call, said the campaign manager Tuesday. If John misses his next check-in, events will be set into motion that I cannot prevent once they have begun. John has secreted data with individuals across the world. I know neither their identities or locations. They will release their payloads if John goes missing. Well, at this point, I think it's probably fair to say he's missing, or at least he claims to be missing. With John McAfee, you never know, honestly. He could very well just be chilling in his boat.
Yeah, there's no detail to the story, so it's kind of a pointless story.
And we don't even know what port they are referring to, whether or not it's a United States port or what. It's very vague. And with John McAfee, that often means the entire thing is fabricated. Who knows? We're going to get further into it. This is The Call to Freedom.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love, and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's Shire Society.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. As always, you're invited to give us a call. That number is 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. Or if you want clearer quality, you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. I wish that subject was radio-friendly. It wouldn't be. But I have so many things to say.
Airing dirty laundry on the air is probably not a good idea.
No, certainly not. Another break is coming up. We can continue that conversation then. We need to continue that conversation then. So anyway, you brought in a story about Bitcoin.
Yes, I did.
Or about cryptocurrency in general, I would think. Because if it applies to Bitcoin, it applies to all cryptocurrency. And the argument is being put forward now that the government can't kill it, or are they arguing that the government isn't allowed to kill it, or that they can't technically do it?
They can't.
Well, they can't technically do it. Period.
They can't.
Well, they can.
It's too widespread now.
Essentially that they can't technically do it under the Constitution.
Okay.
And
I believe the U.S. government probably has an EMP generator capable of wiping out all technology on the planet.
Oh yeah, they exist. That's something they'd never used, though. I mean, they used nukes before they used one of those.
You can protect against EMPs. It's
but
not
that
impossible.
Would kill Bitcoin.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
It would kill a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
it would kill all of human civilization too.
Pretty much.
But I think it would be rebuilt within a few years.
Yeah, but after how many people
years,
died? Maybe. I mean, we're so reliant on technology to like just grow crops and stuff. I mean, you're gonna have the amount of crop that you're gonna be able to produce is not going to be able to sustain the population that after.
It would be a very poor decision on their part, for sure.
But I guess the people at the top don't have too much to worry about at that point because they're already prepared for it.
And that's true. There are bunkers and things like that can be protected against EMPs. I would be surprised, though, to find that there is a Bitcoin miner somewhere that is protected from, an electromagnetic pulse of that scale.
Yeah, somehow I doubt it. But, on the other hand, it probably wouldn't actually affect every single possible location all over the world that has a Bitcoin miner. So there probably would still be, I suspect, some Bitcoin miners that survive. Now, the question is, do we have internet access? The answer is probably no. So effectively, it's dead still.
Yeah, because that kills every router, every gateway, everything.
Yeah.
So anyway, technological capabilities aside, the argument is that they simply don't have the authority to kill Bitcoin.
Yeah. So the title of the story is, this is coming from Bitcoinist.com, I believe. This title of the story is U.S. government can't kill Bitcoin because source code is speech. It's the same argument that was made on encryption when they tried to regulate it as a ammunition in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. PGP.
Right. Do you want to give a little synopsis of that?
So this
Michael?
guy named Phil Zimmerman created a program called Pretty Good Privacy, which basically allowed anybody with their home computer to encrypt anything with public key encryption, and it was then so strong, and still is, that the U.S. government couldn't break it, and so they decided to try to throw an export restriction on it, and that got challenged. And as you were saying, the ruling was source code is speech. You can't do that. People were actually printing the PGP source code on T-shirts and wearing them when they flew out of the U.S. to another country.
Was the source code that short?
The important part of it is the part that actually did the public key crypto.
Interesting.
You know, it would be interesting to print on a T-shirt some part of Bitcoin just to make the same statement.
I want a Monero shirt. Where did you get the Monero shirt?
I don't know.
Damn it, Chris.
I honestly don't recall.
I'm a big fan of Monero.
Usually I would say libertyminded.com, but I'm not sure that it's a Liberty Minded shirt.
Pretty sure I've seen one at Route 101.
That's it. That's where I got it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought this necklace there.
And they take crypto too. So
they do take crypto there.
You can pay. That's right. You have a necklace. I like the necklace. It's a good necklace. It's like a little anarchy symbol.
Yeah. That's my signature. Like, because my name starts with an A, and I never learned to redo my signature, right? I spent all of my life signing one name, and then suddenly it's like, oh, I have to sign a completely different name now. And so I just draw an anarchy symbol.
I like it.
Yeah, everyone knows what it means. And technically it is a signature, so
yes.
screw them.
Yeah.
No one said I had to write out my whole name.
Now the question is, does that mean that you disagree with the whole signature thing? Is you're an anarchist?
I think signatures are probably okay as far as social protocols go.
Yeah, you think?
As okay as anything. I mean, they are hard to duplicate. They are hard to duplicate well, and it takes a lot of training and practice in order to be able to do it. Like, I draw my little A's almost the exact same way every single time. Just like people do with signatures, because it just becomes shorthand. I've been drawing those even longer than I was signing the other name. So
yeah, I'm sure
it's probably a more secure signature. Yeah. So anyway, speaking of signatures,
yeah. So we've got this Bitcoin story here. With the storm of attention being paid to Facebook's Libra project, there has been some talk of whether such an attention could spill over to BTC in the form of government-sanctioned Bitcoin ban. On Tuesday, Redditor Mars Walker 69 opened a thread on the Bitcoin subreddit seeking reasons why the U.S. government can ban Bitcoin.
Can
ban Bitcoin.
Well, I mean, they can do whatever they want.
Well, theoretically, only within the Constitution, but yes.
Well, they throw that out when it's convenient for them.
That's true, and that's the problem with the Constitution. It doesn't really work.
I mean, cryptocurrency is a way of undermining the state's control and power over our lives. If ever there were going to be a point where they would just throw out the Constitution completely and say, you know what, we don't care what the Constitution says. Not to mention, there's enough vested interest within Congress that you could get an amendment passed to the Constitution that allows the federal government to ban cryptocurrency. I have no doubt of that. Maybe in the House you would have a little bit of difficulty, but it still wouldn't be but like 70-80% because cryptocurrency is going to take their jobs away.
Has there been a poll to that effect of some kind? I mean,
not that I'm aware of. I'm basing that on their interest in keeping the current system in place.
Okay. But that's assuming that
you still have to get it past 37 states, though.
Yeah, and it seems like that's making the assumption that everybody thinks that it's going to undermine their power. And I don't necessarily think that everybody thinks that, right? So depending on whether they believe that or not, or have even thought about that, or realize that it might undermine their power is another factor.
You know, I've been way too hard on Bitcoin. I don't like the transaction times and the transaction fees, but as I've been dealing with actual brick and mortar banks throughout the last week or so, And they're like, okay, we'll finish this in 3 to 5 business days. I am increasingly like, what? I got pissed off at Bitcoin for a 2-hour transaction time.
Yeah.
But it finished.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
It may have been 3 o'clock in the morning. It didn't matter. The bank's not touching that until 8 a.m. Monday. It's absolutely absurd.
And checks are going to be 24 hours minimum, even the electronic version.
Yeah.
So
they're so unhelpful and unuser-friendly.
Yeah,
versus
definitely.
even Bitcoin Core is just an enormous improvement over them.
Definitely.
This is the Call to Freedom. We'll be back in just a moment with more of this discussion about whether or not the U.S. government has the legal authority to take down cryptocurrency.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Email is easy, instant, and free, and that can be real embarrassing. Email lacks the eye contact and body language you get in face-to-face conversation, or the tone of voice and other nuance you hear in a telephone conversation. Email is just words, often few words. We're all smothering in spam, so we often reply in terse fashion that's easy to misunderstand. And email doesn't cost you a postage stamp, and it lacks the deliberation time it'd take to walk to the snail mail box, so it's easy to succumb to the "oh yeah" stimulus response trap. When in doubt, don't snap back at snippy messages you get. You may have mistaken the sender's intent. And unless you're sending AOL to AOL, there's no unsend. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a discount.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is The Call to Freedom and the Rational Review News Digest, located at rationalreview.com. It's the Freedom Movement's daily news digest, aggregating stories from all over the internet that are of interest to libertarians and to liberty-minded people. They include podcasts, videos, blogs, news articles, and more, and they're now a source for people to receive the Call to Freedom's podcasts. So be sure to check them out. Again, that's rationalreview.com. Now, we've been talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is one of my favorite subjects again lately. It used to be like one of the main staples on the show, but then it's not that we lost interest, but it stopped being interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting again. So the federal government does not like Facebook's proposed Libra currency, evidently.
Oh, no. They don't like crypto at all.
I'm not sure. Well, yeah, I'm not sure I believe that they don't like Libra, though. Republicans and Democrats, they pretend to hate each other as well. But when push comes to shove, they're all buddy-buddy.
Oh, yeah.
So I
wouldn't be important.
I wouldn't be surprised for Facebook and the U.S. government to be working that sort of professional wrestling angle today.
I think the Democrats and Republicans are basically, they're fractions of the same club. Is the best way to phrase it.
Well, is it Facebook though?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to put Facebook in there. I guess you could put it in there. Is Facebook a Democrat or a Republican?
Officially, it's nonpartisan, but knowing what I do of Mark Zuckerberg, I would say he's almost certainly a Democrat.
I think it's fair to say that. Yeah, I guess it's fair to say that Facebook is part of the same club, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, because they're supporting the system. So. Yeah, I guess that's probably a fair statement.
So anyway, back to the story here. Evidently, PGP was an encryption algorithm that released in the 90s. The U.S. government didn't like it and tried to shut it down, and
that went nowhere.
Couldn't.
Yeah, they did for a long time though have browsers, the web browser. Now it wasn't really GPG specifically; it was encryption. So. But yeah, there was 128-bit and I think 40-bit.
40-bit, yeah. You had to
40-bit was the only one you could export.
When they first added HTTPS to web browsers, they had the 128-bit strong encryption, and then they had the 40-bit export encryption.
Right.
So the browsers had to, if you were in the U.S. and you made a web browser, it had to have only that 40-bit encryption because it could be exported to somebody from the internet could download it from another country.
Interesting.
I have to wonder, that was totally ineffective at hindering it from going overseas, correct?
Yeah, pretty much, because all you had to do was publish and this is what they did, is they started distributing the web browsers from another country.
Right, and it just took one person to illegally export it for it to then be distributed illegally.
Pretty much. So it was completely useless.
At least under U.S. law, but it really wasn't illegal overseas to do. So it was totally ineffective at hindering anything.
That tends to be how the government's little machinations go, is that they don't ultimately, they attempt to, but we immediately find ways around it, like with the browsers in other countries and things like that.
At that point, this was the mid-90s, and the government so completely did not understand the internet at all.
Have they ever understood the internet? It's a series of tubes. Right?
Actually, it's a series of trucks, but let's not get into that.
Yeah, in response, a fellow Redditor, now with Sal gone, provided legal precedents to show why a BTC ban wouldn't be possible. For starters, there is legal precedent that equates the prohibitation of cryptographic communication as akin to an infringement of free speech under the First Amendment. As a computer protocol, Bitcoin represents a mathematical language, which is no different from human language, like English or French in the eyes of the courts. However, Bitcoin, theoretically, the problem, here's the problem with that. They also effectively ban like peer-to-peer file sharing under like other legal mumbo jumbo arguments, because somehow encouraging piracy is okay it's okay. Like somehow that doesn't free speech somehow doesn't apply to that. So I don't know. I'm a little skeptical that this argument's actually going to work. However, Bitcoin is more than an ordinary. But then again, I don't know that they ever used that argument with peer-to-peer file sharing.
I don't recall that they did.
I don't think they did, but maybe they should have, right? However, Bitcoin is more than an ordinary computer protocol. in that it allows value transfer across a network. This particular characteristic brings up the financial instrument angle.
Well, define value, because it's transferring ones and zeros for all intents and purposes, which is exactly what all encryption algorithms will transfer.
But that's kind of misleading, because technically speaking, anytime you communicate, you're transferring value.
Right. Well, that's
Unless,
exactly what I'm getting at.
Right. Somebody values that, presumably, in most cases at least, somebody values what you're saying, and they're going to listen. So unless you're saying something that has no value, in which case, I don't know. It's like, is that what the Constitution is saying? That it's only protected if it has no value? Doesn't seem like it. That's not definitely not how I've ever interpreted the Constitution.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
I don't think the word value would appear in the Constitution.
Right.
It has been a while since I read it.
You're speaking, you're transmitting data, information, and it's the same thing.
In the case of the U.S., going through such a route would also not work. This is because the compensation received from the transfer of information is also protected under freedom of speech, one of the 5 basic freedoms enshrined in the First Amendment. Now, I have a question. Weren't some of the regulation laws on donations turned down, like, to politicians as a result of money being protected as free speech or something along those lines?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think I actually ever followed that closely enough to know.
I believe there was that argument, and I feel like they made some headway on that argument, and I think it had something. Because I don't know if you guys remember. I think entities, they are, it might be that entities can prohibit it, but they can't prohibit it on people. But I don't know, maybe it's the other way around. I just remember there being something where, like, money is speech or something to that effect.
Are we talking about the Citizens United case?
I don't even remember. I honestly don't. I just remember there was a case of something affecting the result of was money is speech, or at least the argument was made. Now, I thought that
it is related to Citizens United, yes.
Okay. Since you have that pulled up, can you kind of give this the one sentence?
Are you able? Yeah,
I don't have it pulled up. All I did was Google money is free speech to find out what it originated with.
Okay.
Okay, well,
all right, well, let's continue,
continue.
and if you find anything interesting worth saying about that would be great. So, while projects like Libra can have congressional hearings with the threat of imposing bans, such a scenario appears highly unlikely for Bitcoin. A ban is unnecessary. Places like China and India provide clear evidence that Bitcoin bans are counterproductive to the agenda of the government. The market only goes underground because prohibitions don't work unless the people are in agreement. Yeah, and this is frequently largely the case everywhere. It doesn't matter what the law is. Even people in government, like Congressman Patrick McHenry, understand that a ban would be useless. In an interview with CNBC, McHenry declared that there is no capability or capacity to kill Bitcoin. Commenting further on the matter, the congressman from North Carolina said, even the Chinese, with their firewall and their extreme intervention on their society, cannot kill Bitcoin. So distributed ledger, full and open in the essence of Bitcoin as a first mover in their space, the developer of this technology. My point here is you can't kill Bitcoin.
I guess you can't. The First Amendment argument seems to be solid. I mean, the distributed ledger itself is just information, and that's pretty solidly protected under the First Amendment. And if you want to add to that ledger, that's just more speech.
Yeah,
so I mean, I see where he's going.
I would agree with that. But there is precedent for banning speech in the United States. We say we have free speech, but I would.
Well, there's no screaming fire
otherwise.
in a crowded theater here, is there?
No, it's not even what I'm talking about. Commercial speech can be limited. The Constitution or the Supreme Court, has decided. So
commercial, yeah.
If you, for example, want to advertise cigarettes, well, guess what? Now it can be regulated. And I don't even think that was the original case, but there was case on regulating advertising, and they decided that it is somewhat protected, but not totally protected. Therefore, it can be regulated, and effectively, you don't have it. It's free speech as a result.
We'll be back with more of this in just a moment. This is the Call to Freedom.
Are Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Don't you hate that feeling in the pit of your stomach when the police pull you over? Most people have no idea how to handle it properly, and they promptly get fed into the municipal fee-generating meat grinder. Or maybe you recall that feeling you get when you go to the mailbox and see one or more letters from the IRS. You get a sense of impending doom, don't you? So let me ask you, if you could learn how to use the law to beat the IRS, traffic tickets, almost any courtroom scenario, collectors, credit card debt, and even mortgage debt because of fraud perpetrated against you, would that be worth knowing about? Don't laugh. Investigate. Check out the life-changing benefits of the Lighthouse Law Club at their website, lighthouselaw.club. That's lighthouselaw.club. And while you're at it, visit the Lighthouse Law Club YouTube channel. You might be in for a pleasant surprise.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISSparis.com.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live.
Where did you get this right to tell me what I can do in my business? Where do you get the right?
I support private property.
No, you don't.
You're a liar. You don't understand
I'm a liar?
You're either a liar or you don't
you
understand
got
what
your
private
house.
property is. One or the other.
Your house is private property.
Yeah, my
But
business
as soon
is
as you
too.
open up a business
It
to
is
the public. Now it's
open
not
to the
private.
public.
As far as I'm concerned.
Well,
That's just an opinion.
you can redefine property if that's what you want to do. Where do you get the right to tell me what I can do in my business?
My lungs. So when they pass
Right.
a law,
The
they
government-
pass a law,
lungs, sir.
you're not
The
allowed-
law. You just
I'm
pointed
being
it out.
silly. I'm being silly.
Right, the
You know
law.
what?
You're being a
You know what I
Nazi.
wanted-
You're absolutely right. The law is what gives you the right. The law is a bunch of words written on paper by liars and thieves, and you're willing to use that force that they have to reach your own ends. When you're willing to do that, then anybody can do anything to you.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. And if you've ever wanted to have sex with cops, with prostitutes, I do that about. No, I do that about once a month. And then arrest them or bust people for drugs and then sell the drugs on the side for a nice little bonus. Or just enjoy the power rush of being a cop without all the paperwork. Then you should try the Thin Blue Line game, which you can find at thinbluelinegame.com. It's the only card game in the world that allows you to shoot someone over a broken taillight and then escape accountability with the magical phrase, "I feared for my life." You know, typical cop stuff. Get it now at thinbluelinegame.com and use the coupon code CTF. Oh, my elbow turned that way up. That's why it was suddenly very different. Use the coupon code CTF to get all shipping costs waived. Again, that's thinbluelinegame.com. Now, we've been talking about cryptocurrency and stuff in general, but we pretty much exhausted that story. But evidently, today, Robert Mueller is in front of Congress and has said some interesting things. Among them, the assertion that he would have indicted President Trump, but he was under the impression that he wasn't allowed to, or something like that. So,
yeah, well, he's been saying that for a while now.
I have yet to hear him say that he wanted to indict Trump. I heard
he's been saying that he didn't think he was allowed to.
Okay.
What does that mean?
I have no idea, man.
I mean, isn't it you have the power or you don't?
My understanding is that the Justice Department has a rule that says they can't indict a sitting president. Anything has to go through the impeachment process in the Constitution.
Okay. So only Congress could impeach him.
Right.
Right, which makes sense.
But couldn't they still...
And that's been my understanding as well, so...
But congressional Republicans accused Robert Mueller on Wednesday of operating under a double standard in his Russia investigation, alleging during a heated Hill hearing that Mueller threw the book at Trump associates while ignoring wrongdoing by others. Republicans for years have attempted to draw a stark distinction between how the FBI and Mueller pursued allegations against President Trump and his campaign during the 2016 election, and how they reviewed alleged misconduct by prominent Democratic figures and those associated with them. Now, speaking of prominent Democratic figures, I saw something about Clinton saying that he knew nothing about Epstein's dealings.
Yeah, even though he was on the plane where it happened.
Dozens of times.
Yeah. He knew nothing. What, were you sleeping? Were your eyes closed? Were you in a coma? What?
No, he was busy banging his own lolly. On Wednesday, during the first round of Mueller's testimony before the House Judiciary Committee, GOP lawmakers repeatedly confronted the former special counselor with that accusation, with lines of questioning meant to illustrate a double standard. At one point, Representative Matt Gaetz asked if he can say whether the controversial anti-Trump dossier was not part of Russia's disinformation campaign. I don't understand the relevance of that. It was proved to be fabricated in the first place. So is that what he's saying, is that the Russians were trying to sink Donald Trump and help Donald Trump?
I'm not sure what he's actually getting at there.
No, as I said in my opening statement, that part of the building of the case predated me by at least 10 months, Mueller replied. Gaetz noted that such reasoning did not stop prosecutors from going after Trump's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort's alleged crimes regarding tax evasion predated you, but you didn't have a problem charging him.
Well, he's not a sitting president.
Right, he's not a sitting president.
Well, neither is Hillary or the people who brought about the dossier. The one about Trump, like, enjoying golden showers. Yeah.
I remember that.
That didn't have anything to do with the sitting president either, except that the sitting president was the target. So they could have indicted the people responsible for that.
Yeah, right.
He just seems to have chosen not to, which is fine. I think the whole thing is ridiculous theater anyway.
Yep.
But Gaetz and Mueller went back and forth over the anti-Trump dossier, which was authored and compiled by ex-British intelligence officer Christopher Steele. So the Russians didn't even have anything to do with that. So the dossier was created on behalf of Fusion GPS, the firm that was hired to conduct opposition research funded by the Democratic National Committee and the Hillary Clinton campaign through law firm Perkins Coie. Man, that is a long chain of freaking events to follow. The dossier formed an essential part of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrants approved to surveil then Trump campaign associate Carter Page, according to a House GOP memo alleging government surveillance abuse during 2016. So they fabricated this dossier and then used it basically to get FISA warrants that would allow them to actively spy on the Trump campaign.
Right.
Well, this is what you can do when you're Hillary Clinton and the sitting president is Barack Obama.
That's true. And the other thing is, why would Mueller even be He wasn't asked to investigate that, was he?
He was, as I understand it, he was asked to investigate foreign interference in the 2016 election.
Okay. So yeah, this kind of would be in the ballpark. Okay.
When people associated with Trump lie, you throw the book at them. When Christopher Steele lies, nothing. Well, he's a UK citizen, they said.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do with this, a foreign national?
Mueller on Wednesday claimed he was not familiar with Fusion GPS, despite Steele's reporting being referenced in his report. He also continued to state that the Steele matter is beyond his purview. Guests fired back, no, that's directly in your purview, and here's why. Either Steele made this whole thing up, and there were never any Russians telling him of this vast criminal conspiracy that you didn't find, or Russians lied to Steele. Now, if Russians were lying to Steele to undermine our confidence in our newly elected president, that would be precisely in your purview because you stated in your opening that the organizing principle was to fully and thoroughly investigate Russian interference. So Steele is claiming to have gotten the information from Russians.
Mm-hmm. Isn't this an NSA thing, not an FBI thing?
I see. So Mueller is supposed to investigate Russian interference in the elections. Yes. This report turns out to be written by this British guy
who says that his sources were Russian.
But Mueller was not asked to investigate the Democratic National Committee putting him up to it or paying him for it.
But you weren't interested in whether the Russians interfered through Steele. And if Steele was lying, then you should have charged him with lying like you charged a variety of other people. But the bulk of charges against Trump's associates in the investigation were based on false statements made either during the probe or to Congress. 6 Trump campaign associates indicted in Mueller's sprawling investigation were charged with violating USC 1001 or making false statements. Isn't this why most people lead their statements with "to the best of my memory"?
Yeah. These guys didn't have good lawyers or something. I don't know.
I mean, it's only illegal to consciously, deliberately lie, but they can't prove that you misremembered. Like Hillary misremembered how she fled sniper fire on the helipad in some country, and you see the video of it, and she's getting off and she's shaking hands and smiling and stuff.
Yeah.
That kind of misremembering. Representative Jordan of Ohio directly questioned Mueller on his decisions to charge those around the president with false statements, and not several other key figures who played a central role in launching the investigation as a whole. This is boring theater. I don't think they know what they're going to do, and I think the whole thing is ridiculous if they want to remove Trump from office. Again, there is an election coming up in like 16 months, and they can do it then. I mean,
I don't think these House Republicans want to remove Trump from office. I think they want to undermine Mueller.
As much as I hate Trump and I really don't like Trump, I can see why you wouldn't vote for a Democrat. I mean, they're basically babies. That's how they're acting.
They are acting.
They're
like babies.
acting worse than a
agree.
2-year-old having a tantrum.
Because, I mean, the rational solution here would be for them to, run a candidate that can beat Trump, because an election is 16 months away.
Mm-hmm.
We can find lots of people who can beat Trump.
The odds of Trump being indicted or impeached and removed from office within the next 16 months seem exceedingly low to me. Didn't the Clinton impeachment...
approximately zero.
Yeah, didn't the Clinton impeachment drag on for like 9 months or something?
Yeah, it went on for a while.
And these people haven't even decided whether or not they want to impeach Trump.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, it's like the terms for president is so short to begin with, right? Like, I mean, relative to any kind of legal situation, how anybody can think that this is like going to be the best use of their time and resources is beyond me. It's time for them to just quit it and focus on their next campaign, because that's where their money is going to be best spent.
I'll buy that.
This is the Call to Freedom. We'll be back in just a moment on the Call to Freedom. Don't go anywhere.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,424. Silver at $16.33. And Bitcoin is trading around $10,224. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, Israeli Minister for Regional Cooperation Zachi Hanigbi boasted Sunday that Israel is the only country in the world that is, quote, killing Iranians, end quote. Speaking during a radio interview, Hanigbi, who is also a member of the State Security Cabinet, said, quote, for 2 years now, Israel has been the only country in the world killing Iranians, end quote. The Mind Unleashed reports that Hanigbi also said that Israel has hit the Iranians hundreds of times in Syria. Sometimes he said they admit it. Sometimes foreign publications expose the matter. Sometimes a minister, sometimes the chief of staff. But everything, he said, is a coordinated policy. Commenting on why Iran did not respond to the Israeli attacks targeting its troops and headquarters in Syria, Hanigbi indicated that the Iranians are very limited in their responses. And it's not because they do not have the capabilities, but because they understand that Israel means business. Israel has repeatedly targeted what it calls Iranian targets in Syria, killing a number of personnel. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals. High-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Hours after Governor Ricardo Rossello resisted calls to step down over messages mocking victims of Hurricane Maria and attacking fellow politicians with misogynistic slurs, an estimated 400,000 Puerto Ricans took to the streets Monday and demanded Rossello's resignation in what was described as one of the largest protests in the island's history. The Mind Unleashed reports the Highway March was part of an island-wide general strike aimed at forcing Rosello's ouster. As the New York Times reported, classes on the island were canceled. The largest mall in San Juan was closed, and banks did not open amid the massive demonstrations against Rosello. In an address on Sunday, Rosello announced he's stepping down as head of his party and said he will not run for re-election in 2020, but stopped short of resigning. Laura Resax Olivencia, a Puerto Rican radio host, called Rosello's refusal to listen to the public and step down, quote, a slap in the face to all Puerto Ricans, end quote. Earlier this month, a bill to decriminalize marijuana possession in Hawaii and expunge the records of certain marijuana offenders became law without the governor's signature. Activist Post reports the new law takes another step toward nullifying federal cannabis prohibition in effect in the state. 20 Democratic representatives sponsored House Bill 1383. The new law decriminalizes possession of 3 grams or less of marijuana, making it similar to a traffic violation, punishable by a fine of $130. The bill also creates a process allowing individuals convicted of possession of 3 grams of marijuana or less to have those convictions expunged from their criminal records. Finally, the House bill establishes a marijuana evaluation task force to make recommendations on changing marijuana use penalties and outcomes in the state. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
My fellow sheep, election season is upon us. Are you one of the 12% of Americans who still approves of our government? Then we need your help to force the other 88% into compliance. Our democracy depends on it. We're an organization called Citizens Against Too Much Unfettered Freedom, or CATMUF. CATMUF is a bipartisan flock of sheep whose goal is expanding government until nothing else remains. Because the government is here to help you. How can you help CATMUF help you? By only voting for candidates dedicated to expanding government. It's easy. You don't need to study the issues. No matter what a politician says when running for office, they're all dedicated to expanding government. And make sure you tell all your friends and family to vote for more government. Here at CATMUF, we don't care if you vote Democrat or Republican, as long as you vote for candidates committed to growing our federal family. CATMUF. Because folks just aren't smart enough to handle real freedom.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. As always, I'm your host, Ari DeMezzo, author of Dancing in Hellfire, which you can find on Amazon. Joined in the studio today by
Chris
and Michael Hampton from CryptoTip.org.
How is Think Penguin? I mean, not Think Penguin going. Freedom Decrypted. How is that?
Freedom Decrypted is going well. It's every Saturday, 5 o'clock, and we have a co-host return. I have a new co-host, so we're back to 2 people again.
Yeah, who's on the show now?
Returning co-host. So, Rich Paul, or formerly known as Rich Paul.
Okay. Yeah, so on that note, Rich, who has been on Call to Freedom before, did have his court hearing yesterday morning, right?
Yes.
To proceed with his name change.
Yes, that's actually news. So, yes, I went and filmed, and basically the judge went through with the name change. So he's now got a new name. It's Nobody, and it's one word, just Nobody, Nobody.
Oh my!
Yeah.
And yeah,
that's going to have such interesting psychological effects because there's a lot more in a name than most people recognize, right?
Yep. So when somebody asks what's your first name, his answer is obviously going to be Nobody. But when he's asked what's his last name, the answer is going to be nobody, because his first and last name, it's just one name. So it's the same name, nobody. But yeah, there's so many psychological dilemmas to this, including like when he runs for election, who are you going to vote for? Nobody.
I can't believe a judge approved this.
Yeah, that's a little surprising. Does the judge not read the paperwork?
Nope. The judge said there are no restrictions as far as what you can change your name to in New Hampshire.
Does the judge even mention that it might not be such a great idea?
It's a procedural thing, and
I mean, it's good that the judge doesn't have the authority to say yes or no about a specific name. I will grant that.
Indirectly, I think the judge did make some comments very carefully, and the main thing that the judge is there to do is essentially to get an answer out of the individual who's changing their name that they are not going to use their change of name for fraudulent or illegal purposes. In other words, it basically, she said, this does not get you out of paying any debts that you owed or anything of that nature.
Okay.
And basically to have the individual who's changing their name say that they're not going to commit fraud with their new name. So I don't know exactly what that means, but I guess if you were to change your name to somebody else's name and then, I don't know, try to access their bank account or something.
Yeah, something like that.
That would be fraud.
Okay.
And so I guess that it seems like a very stupid process.
I mean, it does, because if you intended to use it for fraud, you would not say yes to that question.
Right.
I don't know. There are stupid people out there who definitely would.
Now, I do have to do a name change, and I'm currently filling that out. I just don't want to spend the money on it right now because screw the government. But when I do it, I intend to ask the judge, has anyone ever answered yes to that?
Yes.
I think you'd be surprised.
Interestingly, you don't actually have to go through. Listen, in New Hampshire, my understanding of the law is that you don't actually have to go through with, like, go to a judge and ask for a name change. You can use whatever name you want, and that's your name. It's only in
well, it's because there's a lot of Canadians and stuff like that who have migrated here, and they change, especially the French Canadians, as I understand it, they change their names constantly, or at least their last names. Family names change quite frequently, evidently, for French Canadians.
Okay. Well, yeah, you're basically in New Hampshire. You can go under whatever name you want, and you don't have to go and have your name changed legally. It's still your name. It's just whatever you've changed it to without doing the whole legal name change thing. It's just that if you go to, say, apply to run for office, they will,
I encountered this issue.
Yes, they will use your the name, basically it's on your birth certificate or something to that effect.
So basically,
they won't use your pseudonym. Or
so basically,
whatever
the purpose of the legal name change is to change the name the state calls you by.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And I don't see much need to do that. Except that, it would be better if my bank accounts and stuff like that were under the name that I actually go by.
Right.
Yeah, it would be helpful.
Right. And so that's basically what the whole legal name change thing does in New Hampshire. But yeah, you can use whatever name you want, basically, if you want to rent a hotel room, or if you want to. And actually, I think the judge actually said that. That she said, like, you can. I think I might be mistaken on this. It might have been somebody else who was telling me this, but I think the judge actually said, you don't have to have this legal name change. You can still go by whatever name you want, like when you go to a hotel, and that was just kind of an example or something that she was given to explain, what this actually is doing.
But don't most hotels require an ID?
I don't think necessarily that's the case. This is a good question because I've actually asked if I can, pay with cash and stuff, and I've been given the answer of effectively yes in at least some situations. And I've also stayed at hotels where I prepaid with crypto, and I did not have to provide ID.
What hotels did you find that took crypto?
Well, no. Okay, so I didn't go directly to the hotel. I prepaid through cheapair.com with crypto for the hotel room, and then I did not have to provide ID when I... Oh, no, wait a minute. It was a credit card.
So cheapair.com is a place for people to buy airfare and hotels for cryptocurrency?
Yes. And I think I'm mistaken. It might have been credit card, not ID. So I had to show ID. I didn't have to show a credit card.
Okay.
But most hotels, they'll make you put down a credit card,
Right,
when
for deposit purposes.
For deposit
Right.
purposes. But if you want to pay with cash, you frequently can. To avoid using a credit card in a lot of cases, not all hotels necessarily, but I have. And keep in mind that if you want to put a deposit down for cash, you may end up spending $700. You need to have like $700, $1,000 easy on you in order to put that down as a deposit.
Right.
Which is a lot more than most people have. But I guess if you don't have a credit card, that's what you got to do. And now
I guess, or you have to find, a slummier inn. Like, I have no doubt, like the Keen Inn down here.
Yeah.
You wouldn't need an ID there, or a credit card for deposit.
Yeah. So
you walk in there with like $50 cash, and I'm almost positive they will rent you a room.
Yeah. I don't usually stay at those kind of hotels, so I'm not entirely sure about that. The one hotel where I did not have to give the credit card was a Red Roof Inn, I believe. And some of those are actually fairly nice. I usually would have said, I wouldn't say those are high-end hotels or anything, but I would not necessarily say that they are comparable to your hotels like Keen Inn.
Well, that was a poor example.
But yes, and then I've also, most of the hotels I would say I probably stay at are more on the upper end of things, so they're probably going to be a little bit more pricey. And I would say those hotels, that one of the hotels that I actually asked about was basically like that. It was a higher end hotel, and that's where I was like, you can do it. It's going to be $700 deposit. Now, mind you, I think if I had only stayed for a day, if I'd reserved the room for a day, it wouldn't have been $700. It would have only been maybe $100 or $200, because I think the way that chain worked was they basically have you put down $100 per night that you have reserved. So I was staying a week, so I had to put down $700 as a deposit.
Interesting.
But
I mean, was that essentially just going ahead and paying for the room, or was that like a security deposit?
That was a security deposit.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it would have been that plus the amount that I was paying. So I think I would have had to pay the $700 or probably more like $1,400 for the week. But I don't know. Maybe I would have only had to put down the first night's bill, pay the first night's bill, or something along that line. I'm not entirely sure. I just know that I had to put down a lot more, a very large deposit. And usually with a deposit, I would assume that that's in addition to what I have to pay for the room. So I'm not 100% positive about what exactly I was expected to do, but I'm pretty sure that was not to cover the room itself. I would have had to pay $700 plus each of the nights for the rooms.
At any rate, in New Hampshire, you can go by whatever name you want. But I think that's true in every state. I mean, it's not like they can tell you can't go by the name you want to go by.
Well, they might call that fraud in other states.
Interesting.
That's odd.
We're going to talk about Amazon and their recognition program when we get back. Evidently, 15 months of glitches and controversy have caused them to cancel it. We'll be back in a moment.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Forget it.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. As always, you're invited to give us a call. That number is 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. Or you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. Now, as promised before the break, and I just moved it. Sorry, I had to give somebody else a URL. So, Orlando, I assume that's Orlando, Florida, right? Because I haven't followed this whole thing closely. Amazon released the recognition program. Are either of you
that's
familiar
their facial
with
recognition software, right?
It would seem so. And after 15 months of glitches and controversies, hopefully the article here is going to really spell out what was wrong with all of this. So Orlando's two-phase pilot with Amazon to try out real-time facial recognition software, you know, like they do to the Uyghur province it's not a province, it's a population. I don't remember the name of the province itself, like the police in China do,
right?
Essentially.
Well, they surveil everybody.
Yeah, well, so that's what they did in Orlando as well.
Is this the doorbell cop thing that they're referring to?
Yeah, I think it may be.
Amazon Ring? No, that's a totally different fiasco.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Oh my goodness. They need to get their stuff in order. So they tried it out, and they ended it Thursday, ending 15 months of technical lags, bandwidth issues, and uncertainty over whether the controversial face scanning technology actually works. No,
wow.
It seems like that would be the first step before you release facial recognition technology, is to determine whether or not it works.
Yeah, if it doesn't actually recognize faces, then you've got a problem. Or if it recognizes the wrong faces, then yeah. I remember.
Well, there is going to be an error rate no matter what.
Yeah, I remember a few years back there was a facial recognition technology that they fed it faces of members of Congress, and it was matching against like known criminals in the FBI database.
Sounds about right, though.
Yeah, it's also interesting. It's people who are of darker skin are also more likely to get mixed up with other people.
Yeah, because facial recognition doesn't work as well with darker skinned people.
Yeah,
it doesn't. And those little automatic hand faucet sensors in bathrooms and stuff like that, they don't work for dark skinned people as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even realize that till someone said it.
I did not know that.
I mean, how would we have noticed it,
Right.
It's not a problem we're going to encounter, but yeah, evidently that is true.
They can be a little flaky, I've noticed over the years, some of them.
Yeah.
But certainly I would not say that they don't work or anything like that. They work okay. But if you're dark skinned, if they work less than they currently do, I could definitely be like, wow.
Yeah.
Why is this happening?
Yeah, why is this being implemented if it doesn't work for
right.
a percentage of the population?
The city's second pilot phase with the software called Recognition began in October of 2018 using 4 cameras at the police department's headquarters, 3 in downtown, and 1 outside a community recreation center. So they were using CCTVs, essentially, that they had stationed throughout the city to capture people's faces without permission.
Without their knowledge.
Yeah. Match them against their algorithms to determine who it was. And I don't find any part of the story that isn't absolutely appalling.
Downtown and at a police station and at a community rec center. Okay, that's interesting choice
Yeah,
there.
so if you walk down the wrong street in downtown Orlando, your face was being scanned and matched against faces in their database.
Or if you took your kids to the public swimming pool there.
So at this time, the city was not able to dedicate the resources needed to the pilot to enable us to make any noticeable progress toward completing the needed configuration and testing.
Wait. So they're saying they ran out of money?
Yeah, but that's not the police station's problem, though, is it? Surely that.
I want to know why they're even these cameras are even connected in a centrally in some sort of central manner in the first place.
It's almost certainly to identify people who have active warrants.
Yeah, that's usually
and to
what
go and
they're
arrest
doing.
them. That would be my guess.
That just seems messed up to me. I can understand going like after a crime has been committed and getting the video, but to just be scanning everybody's face constantly, or even having it connected to a network seems to be messed up to me.
It reminds me of geofencing warranting or geofence warranting. I don't remember the exact terminology, but it's basically just a warrant over an entire area, giving police the authorization to search everything and everyone in that area.
That's not even legal from a constitutional perspective.
It's not, but isn't that exactly what this is?
They're doing that kind of stuff. I mean,
isn't that exactly what this facial recognition technology is, though?
They're going to say since you're in public, it's not a search.
Yes, I would agree. It is. That's irrelevant because ultimately, at the end of the day, the Constitution is supposed to prohibit
general warrants,
general
searches. It doesn't say only in your home.
Yeah, and it doesn't only say pat downs or anything like that, but they are searching you. I would say in every sense of the word.
I think even if somebody goes up to the police, and this is a personal experience that I had. I was in a police station and we were filming, and they then the person behind the counter went and they typed in some piece of information that was on my shirt, I think it wasn't on my shirt. It was the person I was with, and it was they basically looked it up. They found the website, and then they identified the person and the name. And then they did a search for warrants in their system, and they actually went and they arrested the person maybe an hour later.
Wow!
And they called. There was an all importance like bulletin, over the radio, police radio, and we were filming cops at the time, and there was a pullover, and it was interesting because this was just a normal routine traffic stop. And it started getting very interesting because this cop was very nervous. And more nervous than you would expect, especially considering we've done this. I've done this personally, probably hundreds of times, and I've never seen a cop so nervous
about being videoed.
When it was a routine traffic stop.
And in the state of New Hampshire, they can't do anything about it.
Right. Right. And so we were actually on a sidewalk. This is the crazy thing, too. On a public sidewalk. And this guy's, like, you could see he's nervous. And he tells the woman, to continue on. This woman is also nervous because she's being pulled over, of course.
Right.
She moves on. Well, it turns out she didn't even, the cop told her to move on, but she didn't get her license back. And she comes back. Like, the whole thing is very, very bizarre.
So he was so nervous that he told this woman, just go ahead. I don't want to mess with it.
Forgot to give her license back.
And didn't give her license back. So she's coming back. She comes back. And meanwhile, I think there was another cop car that pulls up. And the cop also, and during this whole
predators always want to outnumber their prey.
Yeah. Even backing up further, the cop says something to us, and this wasn't me, but the person I was with yells back something like, "Don't mind us, we're just doing our job like you're doing your job. We're filming." And like, it was obvious we were filming, right? Like, there was nothing going to happen. But yeah, it was the whole database thing, the lookup, that illegal search is what I would argue, of the name that then resulted in an actual arrest, because there was a warrant for the person's arrest I was with. But anyway, yeah, it wasn't. It was
screwed up.
And it was even more messed up too, because of the reason that there was a warrant. It was retaliation, basically, for something else that happened.
We'll be back in just a moment.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. As always, I'd like to invite you to check us out on social media. You can find us on Twitter by using @CTF_LRN. Sorry about that. There's nothing I can do about it. We're on the Liberdon server of Mastodon. You can find us there by using @thecall to freedom. And the show is still on Facebook by using @thecall to freedom. I'm not a big fan of Facebook, though. I'm actually, my ban lifts from Facebook in about 12 hours.
Oh,
and I'm going to immediately get myself banned again.
Oh, this is going to be fun to watch.
I'm going to say something to the effect of, I'm back and Facebook can suck my tranny Richard. Except I'm not going to use the word Richard. And it's going to get flagged and I'm going to immediately get hit with a 30-day ban again. But it will be very funny to me.
Is there
and that's what matters.
Is there a number of times that they will temporarily ban you before they just kill your account?
I think they probably will kill my account this time, even though my account has been reported for hate speech numerous times. And of course, I've never spouted any hate speech whatsoever, but they don't care about that. You know, I used words that you're not supposed to use while I advocate love for everyone, right? So even though all of these except one have been repealed or upheld, and with me winning, it still adds up. Like the first time it's a 24-hour ban, right? But even though that was reversed, the next time it happened, it was still a 3-day ban. So they didn't go back to 24 hours. And, you know, that appeal, I won that as well. But it still became a 7-day ban. And then a 30-day ban. And the 30-day ban, when I appealed it, they said, no, this violates our community standards against hate speech.
Yikes.
What are you smoking?
I have no idea, because it was totally stupid. But that's Facebook for you, you know. They want to control everything and the narrative and the words that people use, and now they want to control people's currency with their stupid Libra.
Yeah, I'm not
digital
buying
asset.
I'm not buying Libra.
No,
I will buy it to turn a profit off of, but I won't buy it ideologically.
I wouldn't. How are you going to profit off a stable coin?
Yeah,
it's not a stable coin. The one article mentioned it as a stable coin. It has not been referenced as a stable coin since. Not in any of the articles I've seen. And it can't be. It's pegged to the amount of money that they have in their bank deposits.
Doesn't that make it a stable coin, though? I mean, is it?
No, it makes it backed by Facebook deposits.
Yeah, but
but it's not like a stable coin. Like
if they don't release the crypto until they deposit money, then there you go.
Well, they don't necessarily have control of the crypto in the way that they do their bank accounts, because Amazon and PayPal and all of these other places will also have their own miners that are creating more crypto, whether or not Facebook has the money there for it or not.
All right, so basically what you're saying is that there is something backing it, but not it's not one-to-one.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it may be one-to-one, but it doesn't have to stay one-to-one.
One-to-one, right. Interesting.
Because its value will vary based on the amount of money that Facebook has in the bank.
Okay.
And so as they make
that's
more,
how it's going to work.
That is literally what they've said about it.
That is interesting.
That's the basket of currencies that they're referring to.
Suggests that it would sort of work. I'm trying to think what they call it in the banking
It
world.
would be sort of a gold standard if the money that Facebook had was gold.
Well, no, it's kind
of course it isn't.
This kind of reminds me of how the bank. Okay, you can probably can tell me what this is that I'm trying to think of. But basically, they only hold a small percentage of the money that is in your account.
Fractional reserve banking.
Fractional reserve banking. Yeah, it sounds like fractional reserve banking. And that's interesting if that's the case, because it means that basically Facebook is going to be able to make a lot of money off of loaning your money out to others and really only retain a small percentage while still keeping it stable, the currency, the cryptocurrency.
Well, in that case, they actually would be a bank.
Yeah.
I think that's...
Sort of. I mean, except that you're not going to get interest on that cryptocurrency that is being loaned, or the money that you've put into it that is now that you're holding of its cryptocurrency. You're not going to get an interest rate on that.
Well,
whereas a bank,
I don't think you should get interest anyway, because the only way the bank is going to be able to pay for that interest is through fractional reserve banking, which inflates the currency and makes it less valuable. So, I mean, you may get $10 back on the $1,000 you have in there, but you inflated the currency well beyond the $10 mark. So I don't know if that $10 interest rate actually makes up for the
I don't know
inflation caused by the fractional reserve banking system.
That is an interesting. Listen, it's not. I would definitely say that the Libra is not a cryptocurrency, but
it's definitely not a cryptocurrency.
Yes, not.
It's a digital asset that may or may not use encryption. We will never know.
It's not a cryptocurrency as we understand it, but I would say that it is an interesting. What they appear to be doing with fractional reserve banking is a very interesting competitor to the dollar. Or fiat currencies, because it's a non-government.
See, but Facebook
system.
has said they don't want to compete with governments. They don't want to compete with fiat. They want to compete with.
They want to own us. Yeah, they want to own us like governments
banks.
own us.
Well, they want to compete with banks, I believe, is what they said.
Yes.
What's the difference? I mean, the government's pretty much
because the banks are government. The banks are government. Banks are regulated. They're basically saying that we're not going to be regulated. But they're going to do the same thing.
But I mean, why not just buy Bitcoin and make that Facebook's or Dash or Monero or
but how do you
Zcash?
buy Bitcoin?
You can very easily buy Bitcoin at like localbitcoins.com.
Okay, so you don't mean
hell, they
Bitcoin
could buy it from
as
Coinbase.
a whole. You mean Bitcoin like currency?
Yeah,
okay.
Swap all of their USD, all of their dirty fiat, their war money.
My understanding is that they were going to use multiple different currencies, fiat currencies, and gold and other things potentially to back their.
That's what I've read.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
I would rather they back it with cryptocurrencies, but if they're going to do that, then why not
I don't know there's any reason to back it with cryptocurrencies. Why not back it with, say, stocks or something like a variety of assets?
Sure. I mean, if they were going to back it with cryptocurrencies, there's no reason not to just go ahead and use that currency. Which is why I was saying, they should just buy a bunch of Bitcoin and make that the official Facebook currency.
Theoretically, if you back it with something like stocks and gold and other things, it would probably end up being more stable theoretically than something like Bitcoin.
I don't find stability to necessarily be a desirable trait in money, though. You have the Keynesians, of course, who
from your perspective, I would agree. I think from other people's perspective, that may not be the case.
Well, because they're brainwashed by Keynesian crap.
Well, no, I mean, so there are. So
wait, what?
Let's back up a second. So there are different levels of risk, right, that people are going to want to get into.
Sure.
I don't want to risk everything in my portfolio, right? But I do want to risk a certain percentage of it, okay?
Right.
And that's because it increases my chances of increasing my wealth. But at the same time, I want to be able to ensure that I have some more stable assets so that I can pay my rent at the end of the month. Because if I can't pay my rent, or I can pay my rent, but it results in me losing money because the value of my assets has gone down and I now have to pull out at a low point, well, I'm going to then lose more money probably than I end up making, as opposed to if I have a combination of stable and less stable assets.
Okay. I guess I can see your point, but if they were all increasing in value, if we took the opposite approach from the Keynesian one, which is that, currency should become less valuable over time to encourage people to spend it because spending is what causes economic growth. That's incorrect. Obviously.
Yeah, it's silly, it's ridiculous, but everyone goes with it because it helps prop up states.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily
but the opposite
saying
of
that's the answer. I'm simply saying some stability can be useful in a portfolio.
What do you mean, like short-term security or long-term? I mean, it's not security, I meant stability.
I mean, we're probably talking more short-term stability than long-term, because long-term stability, it is probably going to be to your benefit to have more risky assets than less risky assets.
I think that is the case.
Yeah.
But I just use like Acorns and apps like that when it comes to stocks and those kind of risks. With cryptocurrency, I'm the app. You know, I know what's a good investment. Well, that's not true at all. I've lost tons of money investing in things like Vertcoin and crap like that ultimately did not pan out. But generally, there's no app to manage that for me. I have to decide for myself, this is a high-risk asset. Yeah. This is not.
See, my position is I have a bunch of different assets. Some cryptocurrency, mostly business, sort of more like stocks. Or actually, they are stocks. And then, I do have some stable stuff, too, the U.S. dollar.
And congratulations to Ravencoin for making it onto the onto the Edge wallet. I like Ravencoin. We'll be back in just a moment.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Our very own Tracy met farmer Ray Kimball, who says that his horse, Franklin, has the ability to speak full sentences.
When did you first realize he could talk?
Well, I'd hear him saying things when I was sleeping, and then I'd go out to the barn and we'd have some real conversations.
Can we talk to Franklin?
He can't wait to meet you. Say hi, Franklin. What's that? That's a good one.
What did he say?
He said, "Who's the pretty lady?"
Aw. Franklin, do you like living on the farm?
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Did he say something?
Tracy, you live here now.
I spent a cozy night at Ray's farmhouse in a room he called the altar.
I learned that the farmer has a whole lot more on his mind than just a talking horse.
You are my beloved.
This is the Onion News Network.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. I don't think that... Oh, yeah. Check out our podcast. Look, if you don't like the commercials, I totally get it. I'm not a big fan of commercials either. They are necessary for the live broadcast, but the podcast does not include them. So you can check that out at calltofreedomlive.podbean.com and get the show totally uninterrupted, totally unchanged, other than the fact that there are no commercials. You can also find it on Spotify, Google Play Music, the Apple... iTunes store,
whatever they renamed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's in a lot of other places as well. I don't even remember anymore.
Wherever you find podcasts, you should be able to find it.
Yeah, I of course like the fact that we're on Spotify. It was easier to set up than I expected. Apple, it was doing Apple that everything Apple sucks.
Oh yeah, that one took like what 2 weeks.
2 weeks once I actually got off my ass and started doing it. But in the grand scheme of things, I think it was closer to like 4 months.
Well, the time you spent procrastinating doesn't count.
Okay. It was worthy procrastination at the very least. So the war on cryptocurrencies is continuing. And somehow or another, we got into a discussion about Facebook's Libra cryptocurrency, which all of us agree is not what we understand to be a cryptocurrency. It's like Ripple. Basically, except Ripple was meant to be used directly by the banks, as I understand it.
Yeah, that was my understanding. Is Ripple was meant to be an interbank cryptocurrency.
But Ripple is also not a cryptocurrency. It is fedcoin.gov.
Yeah,
as far
why
as
is
I
it
can
not
tell.
A cryptocurrency?
It's centralized, if I'm not mistaken, right? And
Yes.
that's why it makes it not a cryptocurrency.
It's centralized, but it's still a blockchain.
It is still a blockchain,
but it's not cryptocurrency because it's not decentralized.
Yes, and
I think
there's nothing.
decentralized is a critical aspect of calling something a cryptocurrency.
Well, there's nothing within the literal definition of cryptocurrency that requires it to be decentralized. But my gut tells me that anything that isn't decentralized, I'm not going to consider to be a true cryptocurrency. It may hit all the bells and whistles otherwise.
All right, so I'm curious, where are you getting your definition? Because my understanding of cryptocurrency has always been centralized around it being decentralized.
Interesting. I'm taking the portmanteau of cryptography and currency. So I would ask the two questions.
Okay. So you're not talking about a traditional definition. You're talking about a more literal definition based off of the words that were combined to create cryptocurrency.
What constitutes a cryptocurrency?
Okay. So yeah, I would not see. I would include other conditions for calling something a cryptocurrency beyond simply being involving cryptography. But that's because that's how it's always. I mean, that's how it's been. I mean, that's how, when people described Bitcoin, which is where cryptocurrency came from, and other cryptocurrencies after it had to do with being decentralized. That was a critical aspect of it.
My gut told me this was the case, and the first article I found here from Block Geeks agrees with me that it's more likely you're the one using the weird definition. Because I just typed in, what is a cryptocurrency? And the first result is cryptocurrency is an internet-based medium of exchange, which uses cryptographical functions to conduct financial transactions.
Sure, no question about that. But the question is that the only thing that matters? And I would disagree. And I think people who have been using cryptocurrency...
They immediately go on to say that cryptocurrencies leverage blockchain technology to gain decentralization, transparency, and immutability. And then they define the most important feature as being that it is not controlled by a central authority.
Okay.
So, okay, let's go with that then.
Yeah.
So, okay, then it's not a matter of philosophically, I don't agree that Libra is a cryptocurrency. It, by the definitions that people use, is not a cryptocurrency.
Well, Libra would be a cryptocurrency by that definition because there are 28 different miners.
But
they're different companies.
But they're controlled. Who determines what a miner is controlled?
Facebook.
The other 28 if you buy in, you can be a miner.
Oh, Facebook will always have 51% authority over Libra.
Really? I thought they didn't have 51%.
I mean, essentially, I'm pretty sure
Facebook giving up power if they do it.
This is kind of an interesting philosophical question. So buying in and of itself does not necessarily make something not decentralized, I would think, unless there is the
right, because you have to get their
control.
permission to do it.
Well, that's where it would make it non-decentralized, is if you actually had to get a sign off, I would think.
Right.
Unless it's maybe by
like if we took $10 million to Facebook, they would not let us have a Libra miner.
Right, exactly. And that's what makes it like not decentralized, I think.
Right.
But the question is,
can we amass $10 million to try this?
Maybe. We'll start a GoFundMe, see what happens.
That would be interesting.
The King Crypto community wishes to mine Libra.
Yeah. It kind of really does beg the question of like, at what point is it decentralized or not decentralized? I guess if it starts out as, okay, I'm a miner, right? And
well, Bitcoin started out centralized as well in the hands of Satoshi Nakamoto.
And this is what begs the question. But the difference is with Facebook,
that's why
they get to decide who becomes a miner and who does not.
Right.
In the
Satoshi did not.
In the case of Bitcoin, right? And that's what I think is very important when it comes to, is it decentralized or is it not? And the question is, if you make it a slight change, so let's say I'm a miner and the miners who are previously mining get to vote on who becomes a miner next or not. Does that
Aren't there cryptocurrencies that do this?
I don't think so, not as far as I'm aware, other than
it may be a node
other
thing.
than maybe Libra.
Yeah.
But this then begs the question of, okay, so if that's a requirement, then is it decentralized? Because you can only become a miner if the other miners vote yes.
So the question here is, can there be an authority in a decentralized environment?
Essentially. And I think the answer is probably no, unless it's based off the consensus of the miners or something along
But that's
those
just a
lines.
democracy, which is an authority. It just doesn't rest in the hands of any one individual miner.
Right.
But each one constitutes that democratic authority.
And then the question is it...
It's a bad idea, and I don't want to see a crypto do it.
Maybe we're phrasing this wrong. Maybe cryptocurrency, it's not so much it's decentralized, because you could have a restriction that still says, okay, we have to vote you in. That can still be decentralized, because technically the decentralization just means it's essentially spread out. The decision-making process. So you can essentially still have a decentralized cryptocurrency, but it's not really the decentralization that matters. It's it's more like how the structure is to become a miner. It determines whether or not it's a cryptocurrency or participating in the system.
Well,
it definitely make sense.
It definitely can't be centralized.
I still would say that Libra is not a cryptocurrency. But I think maybe
wholeheartedly agree.
The way that we're describing it as whether or not it's decentralized or not is not really accurate.
I'm not sure how relevant it really is anyway. My gut tells me that Libra is not what I would consider a cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I would buy it in the same way that I once bought shares in the Greek National Bank. I don't support what they're doing either, but I knew it would eventually turn a profit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's essentially the only reason that I would get involved with Libra. But if Libra is a cryptocurrency, then so is the petro from Venezuela and whatever Iran is calling theirs.
I wouldn't call those cryptocurrencies, because they're obviously not decentralized.
Yeah.
You can't become a miner of petro or Iran's new thing.
But you can't become a miner of Facebook's either.
Well, in theory, someone could.
Well, in theory, you could bribe the government of Venezuela to let you mine petro as well.
Maybe, probably not though. But you
if you came in there with
buy into Libra.
If you came into Venezuela with $10 million and said, I wanted to mine petro, I'm almost positive they would let you.
They take your money, but that wouldn't maybe that would magically make it decentralized, but I've never heard of anyone doing that.
Well, I'm not saying it would be decentralized. I'm saying it would just be not a crypto. In the same way that Libra isn't a crypto.
Isn't that what we've been talking about? Is that it has to be decentralized to be a crypto?
Yes.
Yeah, and this kind of begs the question of...
But that's exactly my point, is that if Facebook's Libra is a crypto, then so is the Venezuelan one, because...
No, because the petro is not decentralized, but
neither is Libra.
Libra is decentralized by this definition.
Not when Facebook controls who can take part in it and who can't.
This is the whole thing that I'm talking about. Of it's not just a matter of whether or not there's different nodes in a because you can have a situation where you control all the nodes and it's still technically decentralized if those nodes are spread out. And that's why I'm saying I think it's not just a matter of being decentralized to be a cryptocurrency. We actually kind of have to add in.
Are we talking about the decentralization of the blockchain itself or in the power that regulates the blockchain?
Well, and that's the thing. It has to be decentralized in the sense of power as well as decentralized in the sense of where the nodes are.
Well, you've got 28 different entities running 28 different miners. That's decentralized.
I'm not sure I agree. Not when they need permission slips to do it.
Yeah, I think there's more to it, a cryptocurrency than just that. And it's if the people don't have control over their own currency, it's not really a cryptocurrency.
Yeah. I'm still not buying it.
And with Libra, there's a central.
Right. I think we're all in agreement on that.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with your latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Gold is trading at $1,424. Silver at $16.33. And Bitcoin is trading around $10,224. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, Israeli Minister for Regional Cooperation Zachi Hanigbi boasted Sunday that Israel is the only country in the world that is, quote, killing Iranians, end quote. Speaking during a radio interview, Hanigbi, who is also a member of the State Security Cabinet, said, quote, for 2 years now, Israel has been the only country in the world killing Iranians, end quote. The Mind Unleashed reports that Hanigbi also said that Israel has hit the Iranians hundreds of times in Syria. Sometimes he said they admit it. Sometimes foreign publications expose the matter. Sometimes the minister, sometimes the chief of staff. But everything he said is a coordinated policy. Commenting on why Iran did not respond to the Israeli attacks targeting its troops and headquarters in Syria, Hanigbi indicated that the Iranians are very limited in their responses. And it's not because they do not have the capabilities, but because they understand that Israel means business. Israel has repeatedly targeted what it calls Iranian targets in Syria, killing a number of personnel. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven and believes so strongly in the power of kratom, they're giving it away for free. Just go to freeounceofkratom.com for a free ounce of kratom delivered to your door. Just pay shipping. That's freeounceofkratom.com. This is the latest edition of the Liberty Beat. Find us online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. Your news now continues. Hours after Governor Ricardo Rossello resisted calls to step down over messages mocking victims of Hurricane Maria and attacking fellow politicians with misogynistic slurs, an estimated 400,000 Puerto Ricans took to the streets Monday and demanded Rossello's resignation in what was described as one of the largest protests in the island's history. The Mind Unleashed reports the Highway March was part of an island-wide general strike aimed at forcing Rossello's ouster. As the New York Times reported, classes on the island were canceled. The largest mall in San Juan was closed, and banks did not open amid the massive demonstrations against Rossello. In an address on Sunday, Rossello announced he's stepping down as head of his party and said he will not run for re-election in 2020, but stopped short of resigning. Laura Resax-Olivencia, a Puerto Rican radio host, called Rossello's refusal to listen to the public and step down, quote, a slap in the face to all Puerto Ricans, end quote. Earlier this month, a bill to decriminalize marijuana possession in Hawaii and expunge the records of certain marijuana offenders became law without the governor's signature. Activist Post reports the new law takes another step toward nullifying federal cannabis prohibition in effect in the state. 20 Democratic representatives sponsored House Bill 1383. The new law decriminalizes possession of 3 grams or less of marijuana, making it similar to a traffic violation, punishable by a fine of $130. The bill also creates a process allowing individuals convicted of possession of 3 grams of marijuana or less to have those convictions expunged from their criminal records. Finally, the House bill establishes a marijuana evaluation task force to make recommendations on changing marijuana use penalties and outcomes in the state. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
A severe allergic reaction causes Florida to swell up to twice its normal size. And a Ford assembly line worker is thinking about asking out a cute welding robot from work. It's time for the weekly feature with over 14 subliminal and completely unapologetic cues to purchase Energizer batteries. This is the Onion Week in Review. Area man Brett Lucier told reporters Tuesday he was left winded after placing a particularly lengthy lunch order at a local Wendy's. A weary Lucier said he struggled to get through the 7-item order and even suffered a cramp while asking for the spicy chicken sandwich.
I thought I was just about done after I ordered that junior bacon cheeseburger, but I was able to get that Frosty in there too.
And in this week's op-ed pages, a local man talks about how he was always just one of those kids who was off by himself taking cats apart to see how they work. In your hands right now are the 24 AA Energizer lithium batteries you were subconsciously manipulated into purchasing. We make no apology. For more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
This is the Onion News Network.
Welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM, broadcast as always from the Liberty Radio Studios here in Keene, New Hampshire. I'm your host, Arya of, I don't know, I'll come up with something.
Freedom.
Well, I mean, they know that. Now, I do Free Talk Live on Monday nights. I guess I could throw that out there every once in a while.
Yeah.
But advertising a larger show on a smaller show seems kind of silly. Joined, as you hear, in the studio by
Chris.
Of whatever.
Of Think Penguin and Freedom Decrypted.
Awesome.
There you go. I'm Michael Hampton from BitcoinHistory.com.
Now, we haven't mentioned Crypto Tip in a while, and we've actually got some new watchers on the show because very awkwardly, while I was sitting here, somebody sent me a sticker pack on Telegram, evidently. And I imagine it was one of these Nazi groups that I'm in purely for the sake of the lulz, right?
Trolling.
And I'm good at it. But one of them sent me a sticker pack, evidently, that contained a lot of pornography.
Oh, nice.
As I was sitting here earlier, at some point during the first hour of the show, I had my elbow resting here. My elbow has been weird today. I've turned myself up repeatedly, and evidently...
Hit the mixer, you hit your phone, you hit the other phone.
Hitting my phone is significantly worse because I evidently, in the local.bitcoin.com Telegram chat, sent all of these pornographic stickers.
Oh, my...
So we went out to break, and I looked down at my phone, and people are like, what is going on? What are you doing? And my only guess is, that, it was my elbow.
I hit the phone with my elbow. I must have it.
I swear I thought it was, locked, but evidently it wasn't, and my elbow was just sending out pornography. Awkward. But I deleted them quickly.
This was the Telegram group?
Yes.
Okay.
For local.bitcoin.com.
Gotcha.
But they were like, yeah, sure, it was your elbow. And I was like, well, actually, I was live streaming at the time, so you can see that I was literally not on my phone sending out things.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And so we got into a discussion about that, and I was like, well, actually, here's a link to the show if you want to check it out.
Yep.
We do a lot of cryptocurrency and tech talk because we're all cryptocurrency enthusiasts. Now, I say all that because I wanted to ask you something that we haven't mentioned lately, Crypto Tip. Tell us about it.
Okay, Crypto Tip is a crypto outreach tool which you can use by it lets you print paper tips which are redeemable for crypto. Right now it supports Dash and Bitcoin Cash. And what you do is you fund these tips, you print them out on your printer, and then you can just hand these out to people to give them crypto.
Preferably, as we like to point out, in addition to a good cash tip.
Yeah, if you're giving them out for like a restaurant service or whatever, then yeah. Also give them a cash tip because you don't want them to feel stiffed. But definitely, it's a good way to introduce people to crypto that have maybe never heard of it before or want to get started. Because when they scan that code on there, it's going to give them a kind of an explanation of what crypto is. It's going to have a video to watch, and it's just going to let them redeem it right into their wallet. If they don't have a wallet, they can tap right there to install one.
And you created this.
And I created this.
Very awesome. Again, that's cryptotip.org. Definitely a service I have never done it. I need to because twice a week now. Not my fault. But we regularly go to the bar after work and stuff like that. So what better opportunity to get these bartenders interested? Because I'm a great tipper. I tip 50% at minimum when I'm out at a bar.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, the drinks are cheap here. It's like $4 for a Long Island iced tea. I'm used to paying like $9 for that. So it's still cheaper to throw in a 50% tip on it.
Well, there you go. They must love you here.
They do. They love me significantly. It's why they're always like, hey, it's Aria. I'm like, thanks.
Yeah.
Good to feel special.
Well, I have to say it does work great. I've used it many, many times. I've left many, many, many crypto tips. And I would say it's not that everybody's going to tip or everybody's going to redeem. I think most people are not going to redeem. And
that sucks.
It does suck, but
it's free money. Who wouldn't redeem it?
Well, if they don't redeem, you will get your crypto back when those expire.
Right. But there is a percentage that do redeem. So it is something that is an effective tool if you want to promote cryptocurrency for sure. I would say I'm trying to think what percentage of people actually redeem.
Are there stats for this?
I don't have the stats automatically calculated, but the last time I looked, it was about 15% will redeem.
Yeah,
I was thinking more like his personal experience, but then I realized that you don't need an account or anything like that in order to do this. In fact, I'm sure you have it set up. Never having done it, as I admitted, I'm sure you have it set up where you don't have accounts.
Yeah, you don't have accounts. There's no accounts.
So it's sort of there's not accounts, I guess, but there is sort of an account. Like when you create a bunch of crypto tips, right? Say they're $5 a piece or $10 a piece, you will be able to see when somebody is redeemed or not.
Yeah, you'll get a code that represents your order of 5 or 10 or 6 tips or however many you got, and you can just keep that bookmark that URL, or you can get that emailed to you.
Very cool.
Other than that, we don't make accounts. There's no.
But that's all like spontaneously generated, right?
Right.
Like when you go there, it gives you probably a hex key or something.
It's randomly
like that.
generated, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So it works really well.
In the same sense that a wallet is randomly generated.
Right.
Less so with wallets, but that's a different subject.
And here's the thing: this is why it kind of works pretty well because there's only.
Well, Michael, what a strong endorsement. It kind of works pretty well.
Kind of works
pretty well. Well, hold on. Let me.
That's a pretty okay endorsement.
No.
I'm listening because major upgrades on CryptoTip are coming, and I want to get some feedback.
No. Let me explain what I mean. It kind of works pretty well. So
it's just the phrasing of that. To the guy who made it.
It's not a negative thing. This is actually a good thing that I'm trying to say. Okay, so you got to let me finish my sentence. What I'm trying to say is that it actually works pretty well because normally I would think that, when you leave a tip, you might leave a couple dollars, right? Maybe $3, $4, $5, depending on, what you normally tip. So ultimately, when you go and leave a crypto tip, you want to really leave more than $5 or $10. Like you want to leave more because it increases the chance. Now, if you leave $50 or something like that, it's going to probably you're probably going to reduce the chances of somebody redeeming it. But if you leave it in a certain amount, like maybe $10, something like that, you actually end up, and that sounds like who's going to leave a $10 tip, right? Like that's just insane. But
a crypto enthusiast might.
Yeah, but hold on. So this is what
I gave a $7 tip at Local Burger last night on a $15 order.
Yeah, okay, well, you're just insane, and most people don't do that.
But they like me, and it's good for cryptocurrency advocates in particular, as we've talked about repeatedly.
I don't feel a need to pay somebody to like me, but anyway.
No,
and I
it's
don't
not
think
liking
most people
me.
do.
It's not liking me. It's liking cryptocurrency enthusiasts. Because we had a reputation here in Keene for a while, especially at like Local Burger, as not being tippers. And it was because most of us had no idea that they even expected tips.
Yes, this is true. This is true. So, basically what I'm trying to say is what I was getting at is that when you leave a $10 tip, a crypto tip, you're not really leaving $10 because it ultimately only has a 15% chance of being redeemed. So when you spread that out over 10 attempts, you really have only spent about $10. So it's really on a per server basis, you're really not leaving $10. You're only leaving maybe $1 or $2 if you're
right.
If you're lucky, right? Basically. So
and it gets cryptocurrency in the hands of somebody who otherwise probably would not have it.
Right, exactly. And increasing the amount of people spending it is also something that is going to happen as a result, because now it's not just the regular people who spend cryptocurrency coming in. It's going to be people that you don't normally see spending cryptocurrency.
And I mean, that's the goal. That has to be the goal, because right now there's so much KYC and crap like that even if your average 40-year-old housewife or house husband or whatever wanted to get involved in cryptocurrency, it would be problematic.
Yeah, it's a real pain to get started the usual way.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit easier in Keene than it is in most places, but we have lots of vending machines and things all over the place.
It's a lot easier.
And there's also places
Keene.
to spend it. Right.
It's so much easier in Keene that people will drive from as far away as like Western New York to get here.
Yep. And even in Maine too. And not to Keene necessarily, but
Keene or Portsmouth.
This is exactly the point that I'm making. But I would say, and I said we're talking about Keene, but I would say just in New Hampshire in general is very
because
heavy.
There's that restaurant way up there by
even in the North Country there's a crypto group and everything, and there's a vending machine now, I believe, and there are restaurants taking it and everything. It's not, and there's nobody up north. That's the crazy thing. So how anybody is using it up north is beyond me. But I guess there's more libertarians up north now than there ever have been before. So it's happening.
We're everywhere.
Yep.
Let's keep it going. That's cryptotip.org.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
This is a special alert for business owners, consultants, coaches, folks planning retirement, entrepreneurs, and anyone who is saving and investing to build a financial future. You are likely aware that financial privacy for most people has recently died a miserable death. And let's face it, without privacy, there really is no security, is there? Bankrupt governments and banks on the verge of collapse are perhaps the biggest threat to your financial future today. The Lighthouse Law Club recognizes this and has been working diligently to provide safe, secure, and productive tools to ensure your privacy, your financial security, and your future financial well-being, despite the catastrophes which many people fear are looming ahead of us. Find out more with a variety of free videos on the YouTube channel for Lighthouse Law Club. Just search YouTube for Lighthouse Law Club and secure your future today.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Welcome back to the Call to Freedom. As always, you're invited to give us a call. That number is 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. Or you can use the Discord call-in lines, which you can find at discord.lrn.fm. Now, Chris, you brought in another story about the FCC deciding, hey, let's give some money away. Let's not erase these billions of dollars in student loan debts or anything like that. Yeah, and I'm not exactly an advocate of that either.
Yep.
It's the government's fault, though. So
yeah, this story is this is from Ars Technica, and it's titled, FCC gives ISPs another $563 million to build out rural broadband networks. And the funny thing is, this is kind of a small amount relative to what they've given out in the past. In the late 90s, they gave away billions and billions of dollars with no strings attached, and the ISPs just pocketed it, and they didn't do any of the things that...
Well, certainly. It's not cost-effective to run cable. Now, when I lived
Certainly not to rural areas, no.
When I lived in a rural area and ran a computer company, I actually contacted Comcast about having a dedicated cable run out to my house. It wasn't that far, but it was off the street. And they wanted a minimum of $20,000 to run the cable for about 70 feet.
Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
Here's the thing. That is insane. I've seen quotes where it's not been that, I don't think I've seen any quotes that it's been quite that high, but I've seen quotes where they've already run the fiber and the quotes were $17,000.
Even though the cable was already run.
And government funded.
Sounds about right. But I mean, the whole thing, it's not, even if that is marked up significantly, and I'm absolutely positive it was.
That definitely is marked up significantly.
Yeah. It's still not going to be cost effective to run a cable somewhere. This is why modern homes still, and they should, still do not have Ethernet hookups in the same way that they have phone hookups. Now, this, as an IT person who has done this for residential clients extensively, bugs the hell out of me. How do you have a house built in 2019 without Ethernet jacks built into it, all cabled, all running to a place like in the attic or something?
Everybody just uses Wi-Fi now.
Yeah, are you
exactly?
Are you saying that's not cost effective to run Ethernet when you're building a house?
I'm saying that it would be cost effective at that point.
Oh, okay.
It's not cost effective to come in later doing the wall fishing and all of that to effectively cable an entire house.
Retrofit. Yeah,
I understand. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
It should be done while it's all still open and available. Just hire an IT person to come in and do it, and they can knock it out pretty quickly with that kind of open access.
You don't have to hire an IT person to run Ethernet cable. You can hire
see, I envision it going into a patch panel, which then goes into a router.
Okay. But what I'm trying to say is you don't necessarily have to hire a IT person to do that. The people who run the telephone cable or cable telephone lines, they're all going to do the same thing.
True.
Now, you might not even be able to hire an IT person to come out and do it because in some places it's actually against the law to do, and the inspectors, I believe, there could be problems with inspectors. Now, some of the ways they get around
That's absurd.
Yeah, some of the ways they get around that is I think by putting up the sheetrock and then having the inspector come out, and then somehow they don't know, or I don't know, something, because you have to have a licensed a person basically do the installation or something along those lines.
Yeah, just something silly, some kind of bureaucratic nonsense dreamed up by the government. But my point was that it's way more cost effective to just throw in a wireless router.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what else is interesting is in some states, there's a difference in price of the Ethernet cable depending on whether or not it gets installed in the wall or outside of the wall. So they're taxing it or they're taxing it more if the cable gets installed. This is the crazy thing. How is the company that sells you the cable supposed to know whether or not you're going to install it in or out of the wall unless they're actually doing the installation of the cable?
Yeah, but they wouldn't.
What the hell?
Right. And yet that is exactly what the situation is in, I think, Louisiana. There's a different price on the cable itself, different tax rate, depending on how and where it's going to be used.
That's nuts. I can't imagine they sell very much of the higher tax rate one.
No.
I mean, just say no.
Nobody pays that if they have any sense.
I'm imagining that it's somehow advertised as inside or outside, and that's how they determine what the tax is on it.
Yeah.
But technically speaking,
the cable doesn't care.
Right. The cable is the same cable.
Yeah.
Now there might be differences in cable in certain circumstances for inside and outside a wall.
If you're going to run it outside, you want better than just the standard rubber shielding.
Right. And that's what I was about to talk about. But that's not what the law is based on. It's based on whether or not it is installed or inside or outside of the wall. It's just absolutely insane.
That is insane.
Right. So if you're using one kind of shielding, like if you use shielded cable on the outside, you're paying one tax rate, but if you use it on the inside, you would be paying another tax rate.
That's government nonsense in a nutshell. So, and now, in order to exacerbate their nonsense, instead of, the whole reason I got into that was because I have to imagine it would be more cost effective to provide cell service, reliable 4G cell service to these rural areas.
Oh, for sure.
Than it would be to provide them with Comcast or Uverse or whatever.
At this point, it pretty much is. I actually know someone who moved out into a rural area of Texas and can't get anything but 4G.
You know what?
I had 4G where I lived.
I think what the problem is, and I don't know what the numbers look like, but I suspect 4G works. The problem is that there's not a dedicated 4G connection, so with a restriction on where you use it. If they provided a cellular service with a restriction on usage, so you could only use it in a particular area, it would probably be more cost effective, at least, than running fiber or something else out to these rural areas.
So your interpretation is that it's more about where the user is using it.
Right, because if you're in a rural area, that 4G is not going to be highly utilized in terms of bandwidth, right? So you're going to be able to use that 24/7 doing whatever you want. But because when they sell you 4G, it can be used in places where it is not, they don't have enough bandwidth, you all of a sudden have to charge more for that service. So
interesting.
I would say, I mean, think about it. You're talking about a rural area, right? So right off the bat that the 4G service is not going to be highly utilized in that area. So, but it's still got to be. They don't have to put. The problem I have with 4G service as an internet service is not the bandwidth and not the speeds that you can get. It's the capping of the bandwidth that you're using. But it's not an issue in the rural areas. It's only an issue in the congested areas. So what they really should be doing is they should be saying, okay, 4G, not a problem if that's what you want to use to solve the, high-speed internet problem or lack of high-speed internet problem. But there should be a condition where that if that's how you're going to solve it, you cannot cap the amount of bandwidth that is used.
Oh, I would certainly agree with that.
And
if that's going to be their
only price point.
Yeah. If that's going to be their only access to the internet connection, then they would absolutely not need to have a data cap on it.
Right.
And that's where it's like a lot of companies are now offering unlimited data, but they will shut your account down if you use too much data.
Or they'll slow it down.
Right, and it has to be high-speed data, by the way.
I have literally been through this where Sprint closed my account for using too much of the unlimited data. And they ultimately admitted it. Because they're bastards.
Yep. What can you do, though?
I can go to Verizon, which is exactly what I did.
And do you still get unlimited high-speed bandwidth? Oh.
Hey guys, Mark Claire here, lionsofliberty.com, where we strive to advance the ideas of liberty daily. We bring you the Morning Roar. That's right, every Monday to Friday we'll have a brand new edition of the Morning Roar, where we provide a roundup of some news stories that you may not find in the mainstream media or even in your typical social media newsfeed. We find stories that relate to the ideas of liberty and provide you with our liberty perspective on them. Every Monday, we have our longest-running feature, Mondays with Murray, named after the great libertarian Murray Rothbard, where we'll examine an article or an excerpt from his works and help convey his view, along with our little spin as well. We wrap it all up every Friday with Felony Friday, where our own John Odermatt goes out and takes a look at some sort of felony. There's felonies committed every day, whether it's a felony committed by the police, a politician, or even an average citizen. You can find all of this and so much more over at lionsofliberty.com. Advancing the ideas of liberty daily.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. Updates.lrn.fm now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
You mean like selling the actual coins? What were they called? The Bitcoin coins that were available?
What was his name that made those?
Sorry to bring the show back in this way. Of course, we sit here and we have conversations throughout the break, and we've just been discussing cryptocurrency as a whole. And now it's been, you're saying, what would banks do if you were selling like the actual physical good?
Well, yeah. So no, more along the lines of, okay, they don't like cryptocurrency.
Right.
But what about cryptocurrency merchandise?
Like if I was selling Monero shirts and Bitcoin Cash t-shirts?
Yeah, exactly. But you don't necessarily have to sell just the cheap stuff like t-shirts.
Yeah, but you're not going to make millions of dollars off of selling Bitcoin t-shirts.
Hold on.
Maybe.
Hold on. There might be an idea here that would work. So instead of...
were you thinking like print the private key on the tag of the shirt?
No. So
it would be a slow trade.
Hardware and other stuff. As long as you have... some sort of seemingly legitimate business tied to the bank account or whatever.
So like get burner phones from Walmart, install Coinami onto them, send a Bitcoin to them, and then sell the phone to someone for the price of Bitcoin. Plus 5%.
So essentially, maybe
you're selling a phone.
Right. So you're selling
for $11,000 though.
Right. Something along those lines. Yes. But it doesn't even necessarily have to be real, right? It just has to look like it's a phone that you sold them for $11,000. So because
at that point, I think if it looks to the bank like you're selling a phone, you're leaving yourself susceptible to fraud, I would say. Because the customer can be like, well, I thought I was buying a real phone and I got this thing and it's just a piece of plastic, and you open it up and there's this stupid card in it. It's not a real phone. They sold me a dummy phone.
It doesn't really matter from the person purchasing's perspective, because they're going to have either they're committing fraud on you or they're not committing fraud on you.
Right.
And you simply have to make it look like the business is not doing cryptocurrency to the bank or the financial institution.
Well, yeah, but they'll shut you down for fraud. That's why they shut down cryptocurrency vending. Is because they link it with fraud.
Wait, what?
Really? What?
Yeah, they link it with fraud, generally speaking. That's why PayPal shut me down, suspicion of fraud. That's why other bank accounts have been shut down, suspicion of fraud.
Okay, that's a little ridiculous.
Well, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But they can't come out and say, oh, well, we think you're selling cryptocurrency. They find cryptocurrency as a whole to be fraudulent.
Well, in theory, under that theory, if that's the case, if I open a shop that sells cryptocurrency products that are, but not cryptocurrency itself, that they would shut me down as well. under that logic?
I don't believe so.
Okay. See, if that's the case,
because you're selling a product.
Okay.
Like Route 101 goods here.
Right. So then if that's the case, what stops somebody from selling, having a real shop that sells cryptocurrency product, and then also selling cryptocurrency, but not through that website, not through their website,
right,
but through some other platform? Because at that point, it looks like you are selling real goods from the bank's perspective. But the reality is you're also selling cryptocurrency on the side.
And that works until somebody comes into the bank and says, hey, I bought $10,000 worth of Bitcoin from this person, and I was trying to pay some ransom on a ransomware, and now I want my money back. The bank's not going to stop to say, oh, did you actually sell this person a T-shirt for $10,000 or whatever, or
well, you wouldn't sell a T-shirt for $10,000. You'd sell like a hardware mining machine or something,
right?
Right, at
that point, you have to increase your prices significantly beyond market value in order to incorporate the cost of that mining machine as well.
I mean, theoretically, if you're, I don't know, if it's certainly a question, and I guess this doesn't really work either, because ultimately you are probably if you're selling mining hardware, they don't. Well, I think what other problems with the banks is that they don't like large cash deposits from all over. So it's irrelevant if it's a crypto mining machine that you're selling or cryptocurrency. So you're probably going to get shut down either way, I think.
Well, I think in your case, the customer would be coming into the store, so it would be the
unless you're using credit cards. If you're accepting a payment via a credit card, then you would have the problem solved.
If you're accepting payment for cryptocurrency via debit cards, you're going to have major problems on your hand.
I'm not so sure. So you can verify somebody who is that you've charged to before you release the cryptocurrency, and that will reduce most of the frauds that occur with credit cards, and it will probably reduce it to a point that it's in line with every other business that sells high-end ticket.
Yeah, but then you're doing KYC.
Yeah,
so wait a minute. Why does it become KY? Where's the problem with KYC exactly?
It turns me off.
It turns all of it. That's half the reason we're into crypto in the beginning.
I'm a little confused. What makes you have to comply with KYC?
If you want to buy Bitcoin in the scenario you just outlined, via a debit card or whatever from this person, that involves KYC.
Well, how does it not involve KYC by the bank deposit?
Because they give you cash. You never have to meet them. You never have to see them. You never have to know their name.
That's not necessarily relevant for KYC stuff. KYC stuff is basically like if it's suspicious, you would still have to report it.
No, KYC is just know your customer.
Right. So it doesn't matter whether it's a credit card.
You're thinking of AML
or a cash deposit. It doesn't matter. Like, okay, it doesn't have to have anything. KYC has nothing to do with the banks.
Look, if somebody comes, and I know it doesn't. But what you're suggesting here would effectively be KYC. If somebody comes to you with $10,000 in cash and wants to buy Bitcoin, more than likely you're not going to ask them for their ID.
Right. Now, technically, you're supposed to with KYC, though.
KYC isn't a law. If somebody wants to bring you $10,000 in cash,
there are laws certainly in regards to KYC. That's how come they can prosecute you. If you don't get the information that you're required for know your customer relation.
Only if you're a licensed money transfer. And here in New Hampshire, that doesn't apply.
It would apply to any business. My understanding is it applies to any business. If you go to a car dealership, they're not going to sell you a car for $15,000 and take cash without getting your information. Because they would be violating KYC. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll be testing this soon. Now, I want to know if that's true.
Let's find out.
If you pay with a check, they don't have to deal with KYC. If you pay with a credit card,
right, because the bank has done it for them.
Right, but if you were to pay with cash, yes, they would have to be KYC compliant. And
interesting.
Get your information.
I'm going to look into this because I can't imagine what sort of legal shenanigans would involve.
Now, again, I'm not a lawyer, so you don't have to believe what I'm saying.
Right,
consult a lawyer, but yeah.
It just seems crazy to me that if I walked into a dealership with like $30,000 in cash, it was like, I want to buy this car right here. Here's $30,000. See ya. They would be like, no, we got to get your name first.
Yeah. Now,
maybe for the purposes of vehicular registration, I could get it.
A dealership is definitely going to demand it. I don't necessarily know that if you walk into a Staples and try to buy something for $15,000, like worth of computers, that they're going to demand it because they probably are not going to know. about that particular law. But a dealership is definitely going to know about that kind of law.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Bizarre world we live in. Well, whether they're in compliance with...
A jewelry store is another example. The jewelry store is definitely going to know about something like that.
Yeah.
It's just, it's obviously kind of like any kind of business that normally does high ticket stuff, merchandise, is going to know about that kind of thing. And my company, I would know about that kind of thing,
right?
If I were to accept it. So and we do take large transactions. Usually they're not via cash, but if they were, certainly I would have to take. I
would certainly agree that having ordinary people doing the KYC is vastly superior than having like Shapeshift and Coinbase from doing the KYC, because they will turn that information over to the government gladly. That's more or less the reason why they're collecting the information. But for us normal people, we just want to protect ourselves. And that's the extent of our concern. We're not trying to leverage information in order to prosecute them, like the state wants. We're just trying to make sure we don't get scammed.
Right.
And I think that's a drastic and important difference. That means end-user KYC isn't as bad, but it's still not something I want to see. And I think it hurts cryptocurrency adoption for it to be as prominent as it is. We'll be back in just a moment. This is The Call to Freedom.
Yeah, what I was saying about the credit card.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
You know how annoying it is when someone keeps stopping mid-sentence as though he or she were asking you a series of questions? Avoid doing that. It sounds unnervingly tentative, and it imposes upon the listener to help you complete the thought. And if you're a job seeker, this alone could be a deal killer. An effective communicator sounds more confident. Complete the thought. Avoid making the listener impatient. With money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. Cutting through the clutter rather than blending into the blah, blah, blah will help you connect better no matter what the conversation. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook. Survivalspeech.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like.
Did you know you can legally exit the U.S. federal income tax system? Well, it's true, and thousands of American nationals are doing it. The 16th Amendment and the Internal Revenue Code are legal, but only in a limited jurisdiction. This is the basis behind the voluntary nature of the income tax. Learn the exit strategy provided by Congress. Find out more by visiting weissparis.com and watch our numerous videos. That's WEISSparis.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
Would you like to hang out with Penn Jillette? He's keynoting Freedom Fest this year. I, for one, am thrilled. Freedom Fest is the largest liberty-oriented gathering in the world. They take a Big Ten approach with libertarians, conservatives, liberals, anarchists, and just open-minded people mingling together to hear real debates, share real solutions, and converse freely. This year's theme is the Wild West, a time of liberty and opportunity, or a time of anarchy and violence. Maybe both. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and get your tickets now. freedomfest.com/FTL. Not convinced yet? Hey, I understand. It's a high-end event, even with coupon code FTLEB. Sure, you're likely to receive investment advice that'll make that sum seem paltry, but I have something special for you. Go to freedomfest.com/FTL and you'll get the 5 best speeches from last year for free. Call it a test drive. Do yourself a favor and go to freedomfest.com/FTL. freedomfest.com/FTL. Use coupon code FTLEB for a...
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Welcome back. This is the Call to Freedom. And maybe you've been listening to the show for a while and you would, like to know what you can do to help and show your support. Well, social media shares certainly go a long way, but so does cash. And you can do that on Patreon by going to patreon.com/call-to-freedom. Our wonderful sponsors there, including David Jeffries and Leah Huffman, are currently helping to keep the show up and running, including the podcast at calltofreedomlive.podbean.com. So once more, if you really like the show, be sure to go check that out. Again, that's patreon.com/call-to-freedom. Now, we've been sort of focused heavily on cryptocurrency and the idiocy of the state and its reaction to cryptocurrency. Obviously, in order to utilize cryptocurrency, one has to have a reliable internet connection. I ran into this frequently at ForkFest. So much so, which for those who aren't aware, ForkFest is coming up in this coming end of June. That's 2020, end of June. So, I mean, it like just happened a few weeks ago. So when I say coming up, I mean, it is technically coming up. But anyway.
Yeah, next year.
So it's up in the White Mountains of northern New Hampshire. And cell service there is terrible.
Spotty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Spotty at best. It was so bad that trying to send transactions, my Edge wallet became completely desynced. And it had no idea how much money I had anymore.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, it was no longer counting some transactions that were sent. It was no longer counting some transactions that were received. And I had to go into town to the Dunkin' Donuts, connect to their Wi-Fi, and manually resync my Bitcoin Cash wallet.
Yeah, my solution to that problem was I ended up getting an AT&T SIM card temporarily for the month, and a prepaid AT&T SIM card, and problem solved. But
I think I'll be going up there with Google Fi next year, because that's what Ian had, and he had reliable 4G the entire time.
Yeah, you don't really need it. You don't really need to go to that extent in order to solve the problem.
So what did you have when you before Google Fi?
I don't have Google Fi right now.
What do you have now currently?
No one important.
Okay.
Just a burner thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
No one important has crappy service.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if it's an AT&T reseller or something like that, you're not going to have service, or it's going to be really garbage.
No, I used to sell phones. I used to sell cell phones, rather.
Okay.
So I'm familiar with, the major networks like Sprint, AT&T, and Verizon, partitioning off parts of their networks for smaller companies to use. And, of course, their innate clients always have higher priority for traffic and things like that.
Well, it's not even just that. So apparently, from what I understand, at Rogers, there are the providers of service, at least for...
Verizon worked beautifully up there when I had it.
Verizon is great up there.
But from what I understand, it's not Verizon towers
You're
or
welcome.
AT&T towers or T-Mobile towers. It's some other company that then leases out service to those larger companies. And that is why you will have service with AT&T, but you're not actually connecting to an AT&T tower. If you're an AT&T reseller...
Well, I mean, all towers do that.
Yes.
I mean, almost none of them are just
True.
AT&T.
If you have it, but the point that I'm making is if you have an AT&T reseller, okay, you won't have access to those towers because they're not AT&T towers. So
that's a good point. Like if you have a U.S. cellular tower, then a Verizon customer can get on that, but somebody who's got a MVNO phone with a Verizon reseller will not get on that tower.
Right, and that was the situation with my phone service. I have Pure Mobile as my regular phone service, and that's piggybacked off AT&T, but I don't actually have service at Rogers Campground. Once I got the AT&T prepaid phone card, I did have service because now I have access to all of the towers for which AT&T is licensing for their customers access to provide them service in places that they don't themselves provide access to. Their towers for their resellers. Because,
US Cellular is one of the big ones. They have towers sharing agreements with Verizon, and I think one of the other ones.
My understanding is that the towers in that area are and I don't know if this is for both CDMA and GSM networks, but I know apparently they are, or at least I've been told that it's some small company or somebody you wouldn't have heard of at least that has ownership over the towers and the I don't know what you would call it, the devices on those towers.
Yeah, I can look that up, but probably not in the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, still, however expensive it is to get service out to places like that.
Yep.
It's going to be far more expensive to get cell service out to places like that. It's going to be far more expensive for the government to pay these ISPs to run hardline connections. And I'm assuming that they meant hardline connections here.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That is what they're talking about, and we can get into this a little bit more here if you want.
I think we should. We barely talked about the actual story of the idiocy. I mean, it is, and I hate to say it, having lived in rural parts of the South, but if the market isn't there, then there's no incentive for the company to provide high-speed internet.
Right.
That's just all there is to it.
Yep. More than 220,000 unserved rural homes and businesses in 24 states will get broadband access because of funding authorized yesterday by the Federal Communication Commission. The agency said in all, the FCC authorized more than $563 million for distribution to ISPs over the next decade. It's the latest payout from the Commission's Connect America Fund, which was created in 2011. Under the program rules, ISPs that receive funding must build out to 40% of the required homes and businesses within 3 years, and an additional 20% each year until completing the build out at the end of the 6th year.
That is never anything the government plans for anything that lasts longer than 1 year.
Is never on time.
And it is never going to get completed.
It's never on budget.
And never completed.
Yeah. Possibly never completed, yeah.
Yeah.
We're giving you 6 years to, like the raise on the emission standards or whatever they tried doing back in like 2012. That crap still hasn't been implemented.
Yeah, I can give you a brief my experience with government involved broadband. So
absolutely.
In Keene in like 2005. Yeah, 2003. Take it back.
You've been here since 2003?
I'm sorry, not Keene. In Kutztown.
Okay.
Different city that I lived in. I was going to college in the city, and I rented an apartment, and they rolled out that year fiber, not to the whole town, but to select streets. And it ended up being that was totally government. That was all government.
Fiber in 2003 is amazing, though.
Yeah. But hold on. Wait until you hear the whole story of how badly they screwed this up. So we had like 2 megabits per second internet connection.
For fiber?
For fiber.
I mean, I guess in 2003, that's still an incredible internet connection, but...
No, that was competitive. They were competitive with ADSL service, basically.
You could get that on ADSL back then.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. For fiber, that's not...
Do you want to know what the service is today, what they offer?
2 megabit?
150 megabits per second. And up until...
And that's still low for fiber.
Right. Yeah, up until a couple of years ago, a couple of years ago, it maxed out at 10 megabits per second.
Why?
Now, because government.
Yeah, I guess.
Because government. Now, mind you, the other
thing...
They
wanted to make it good, but not too good.
The other thing that happened was the city invested this money, and it was some sort of grant, and the city runs this fiber service, okay? Now, they contracted out to probably run the fiber lines, but the city itself, they run it like a utility, okay? It's the utility office or whatever, and you literally go into a government office to subscribe and pay your bill and everything else. They were predicting
freedom.
Over, like a 30-year period or something like that they would pay this, they pay the grant off that the city loaned them from the tax dollars and stuff. Well, it turns out that totally off in terms of the number of people who'd subscribe to the service and what they would make from it. As a result, there's this huge
Shocking.
bill now to taxpayers because it's never going to get paid off because there's not enough demand. And
now, who wants a crappy service?
yeah, and that's the thing. The government can't do it. Now in Keene is interesting because Keene also had a private government.
What does that mean?
I'm trying to think exactly what the words are to use. But
Public-private partnership.
Yes, that's it. Private-public partnership. Okay, so basically, what happens there is that the government, I think it was the federal government, there was a grant issued to partially fund the build out of fiber along the New Hampshire-Vermont border and to various cities, in that area, and Keene is in that area. And actually, one of the entities that was involved in that is actually based out of Keene. Anyway, long story short, you can get fiber in Keene, at least in some places. The problem is that despite the fact that the government funded it, or partially funded it, it's going to cost you somewhere between $3,000 if you're really, really, really lucky, and $17,000 probably in order to get connected. Then you're going to be paying somewhere between probably $125 to $200, depending on the service. The max service you can get is 50 down and I think 30 up. 25 down and 25 up is $150 a month.
This has been the call to
This
has been the Call to Freedom. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back Sunday, same time, 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Stay tuned, though, for a couple of hours. Free Talk Live will be on at 7. And look for the podcast of this episode at calltofreedomlive.podbean.com.
Don't you hate that feeling in the pit of your stomach when the police pull you over? Most people have no idea how to handle it properly, and they promptly get fed into the municipal fee-generating meat grinder. Or maybe you recall that feeling you get when you go to the mailbox and see one or more letters from the IRS. You get a sense of impending doom, don't you? So let me ask you, if you could learn how to use the law to beat the IRS, traffic tickets, almost any courtroom scenario, collectors, credit card debt, and even mortgage debt because of fraud perpetrated against you, would that be worth knowing about? Don't laugh.